I'm just shotgunning myself for what I'm doing. And what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, we'll get going here in just a minute. So to recap, we weren't here last week, but the week before, and most importantly, figure out about our projects and what we want to try to present. And then we'll do really a production meeting, run of show, so we can talk about the presentation we want to do on June 1st. And there's a slot in there for the student presentations. So I really want to make sure we have all of that information together. Hopefully this will start up here quickly. And
so what am I allowed to cover, and like what audio?
Everything.
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 He wants to do a documentary on it.
Go ahead. No, it's look. This is broadcasted right now to YouTube, and it's going out live. So you're welcome to.
Perfect. That's
yeah.
Wonderful.
No, we want to make sure we capture all of this.
There's only 5 of us now.
Yeah, I got three people say they can't come. Car problems and
Yeah, no. Terry said she couldn't come. Kimberly Hernandez, right?
Right. No, Kimberly Christie.
Oh, Kimberly Christie.
She was one of the people who came to the meeting with Supervisor Castellanos.
Okay.
And then Omar, who was going to come, said he couldn't make it either.
Okay.
But that's okay, man, because
There's no control for this input.
we don't have to be in class, obviously, to be working on this stuff. So Terrence, what I'm going to do, once I can actually introduce Shoni, I do have the one email that I wanted to send to you, and if you can put it up on the screen, which is the application. We're going to need everybody to fill that out at some point today.
Absolutely.
Because like most guys like as
Yeah,
close
we get
together as
everybody
possible.
together. Yeah, that way.
Yeah, come on in.
Team unite.
Come on down front.
Students unite.
Students unite.
And we're going power to the
United
students.
Spirit.
Yeah, we're united in spirit. We're united in spirit. Yeah.
Power to the
Yeah,
people.
fill us this row. Here you go. I know everybody kind of wants their space though. I mean, this is immersive, where everybody wants to be, you know, kind of.
Well, look. Next thing you know, we'll be doing this in a virtual environment. They did have actually one of the first virtual-only meetings around VRLA and the rest.
Those are so cool.
Right.
I'm just saying right now, like so cool.
Yeah. So that was one of the first ones they had with a lot of people from various VR groups all got together in one virtual space and did that. And I think that we were showing a little bit about how Volkswagen is using immersive media to help with their designs, bring some of their design talent into the same experience, and then share that. So that was one of the videos that we looked at in terms of understanding collaboration from a VR perspective. So picking up from really, we didn't have class last week. Apologize, I was back in New York, but glad
Tell
to.
everybody what you're doing, man. You know, so they got to figure out what you're doing.
Sure is. Yeah, come on up.
You're the only one in the back row.
So yeah, I guess. Thank you. Perfect. So last week I had to go to New York and I did meetings for a couple of the companies that I consult with, and so I met with advertisers. So I met with a couple companies and agencies that put ads on mobile devices. I also met with AccuWeather and Cox Digital Media, both as potential publishers who need to make money with their mobile apps. And so we pitched SDKs, which are software development kits, basically software that these publishers have to install in order to make more money out of the users for their app. And so this is with a client who I've been working with from Hamburg, Germany. So literally, I was introducing him, the CEO of this company, to the key decision makers at some of these app publishers in order to make money on some of their apps. And so spent a bunch of time right in Midtown Manhattan, a bunch of meetings every day. And so it's for the buyers and sellers, right? There's people who want to put ads, they get paid to put ads inside the apps. And then there's the apps themselves who need to make money, and it's all controlled by technology, right? So good segue to, 2 weeks ago, we had our RF code, right? And it's basically, hopefully you guys understand, there's a couple things you want to take away from that. One, it's basic instructions, and the person who writes the instructions has the inside scoop on how things work. If you write the code, you know how things will function or perform. Two, more than one way to solve a problem with code. So we saw that, you know, there'd be one recommendation of how we go this way and another recommendation Terry's making over here, and both things would actually get you to the result. So coding is also somewhat creative in terms of how you use it to solve a problem. And a friend of mine and I were having conversations, so I also consult to another company. We've been having problems. You know, we talked about data early on, right? And so there's a big thing going on in our industry called GDPR, General Data Protection, coming out of Europe. And basically the European Union has said they're going to be more stringent in how users' data is being protected. So what that really means is, I don't know if you guys know that there are IDs that your device has, right? So the most fundamental ID in a cell phone is called a device ID. So the device ID actually tells you what's in the phone. So the back of your phone, if you're able to open up, can't open these up anymore, but basically this phone has a hard ID that your carrier uses to know that this is you. And that device ID would be how you find my iPhone in a network. It has a device ID, right? You enable to find your phone. You say track this device ID anywhere it is, right? And you can do that to your phone, but that hard-coded device ID is something people want to protect. They don't want you to have, anybody in the world shouldn't have your physical device ID, right? Because that means that somebody could track you physically to this room right here, right now.
Parents.
Now, if you commit a crime, if you do other things like that, this is all the data where the police could, you know, subpoena the records. And if you think about all the things that had happened in the world, a lot of the, in San Bernardino, in that shooting, there was a big issue over trying to crack the guy's iPhone. Because if they could try to crack the guy's iPhone, and they knew where he was and who he talked to, and there's this privacy protection issue over who has the rights to crack the guy's iPhone to see what's going on. And it was a big issue. Somebody finally did it, but Apple wasn't going to hand over the device ID or the way to track that. But there are people who know how to get that information, right? Coders, hackers, right? So that data is pretty important. The most important thing of all this is that data is super important. Now, in advertising, how you make money in apps, Google came up with an ad ID, and Apple has IDFA. That's Apple's ID for advertising. It's something that you can control in the settings of your phone that allow you to say, okay, I'll allow myself to be tracked for ads because I get value, right? A more relevant ad and all the rest, but it's not going to give you a hard ID, right? It translates that into another value that's not this phone particular. It's an ID that says you're a unique user, but you're not this phone. And you can change it. Now, not very many people know they can change it. Not very many people know they can turn it off. There's a thing called limit ad tracking. If you don't give it, and I can't recognize you, then all that retargeting, right? You know how you go to Amazon, you're about to check out, and you check out, you're looking at a product, you don't check out, and you see an ad for that product later? Or you go to a website to buy something, and all of a sudden you start seeing ads for the thing that you look at. Like we used to play a trick on friends, like if somebody used to leave their computer open, you go in and you search for some stuff that people don't really want to look at. So you take a big burly dude and you start searching for lingerie, and all of a sudden he's up doing a demonstration like this, and all the lingerie ads are popping up all over, right? That's just retargeting, right? That ID for that browser is targeted to be looking for that particular product, right? Retargeting. So cookies are how you do that on the web. Inside of an app, it's tied to the device ID because the app runs on the phone. So all of that to say, data is important. Coding is the thing you would use to identify users, data. So you use that. In my world, we use it to make money in advertising. In the creative world, if you're the publisher, if you make the app, if we make this game, this experience, every user who downloads it, we know what they're doing when they're in our app because our app is running on this phone through the SDK of the developer, right? So Unity is a platform. They don't use SDKs. If you write our code in Unity, Unity knows every step everybody takes inside of our game, inside of our experience. And so do we, right? We can tie that to an ad ID. And so if you want to make money on the product, you tie it to an ad ID and you have somebody opt in for advertising, and then as they go through it, they can see ads when they go through our experience. And that's how we can get paid for our app, unless you have an app that makes somebody subscribe, right? So there's revenue models in your content in this business that have to do with, I think we talked a little bit about the NCAA app. That app was $19.99 to watch NCAA games in VR. So it's a paid experience. Weren't any ads in that experience, but that's how it's paid for. Other VR apps may have ads inside of it. And that may be a way that you get the free app, right? Free download, but you got to watch ads when you go through that experience. So you got to think about the business model of the experience. So one of the things that we need to come up with is, okay, we'll get the product, we know we're going to build. How are we going to market it? And if we were to choose subscription, would somebody pay for it, right? You'll pay for Pandora. You might pay for Spotify. You might pay for the movie, Netflix, right? There's some apps people might pay for, but all in all, you know, you might want to be, even CBS Sports app has ads in it. I get the sports scores for free because I got ads. So you might say, if you want to get the most amount of users, you might want to put in the ads. And you might think to yourself, well, who might value these kind of people using the app, right? And it gets out to our audience, right? And our audience, if you're doing what we're looking at building, you probably are interested in travel. Travel might be something you'd be interested in, right? So cool location, so having a travel advertiser might be somebody who could fund this whole thing, right? So if we went to Expedia and said, hey, Expedia, we're going to build this app. And this app lets people virtually go to all kinds of places that they wouldn't be able to go otherwise. And, you know, they have the little gnome, right? So you can imagine, okay, we'll sponsor your app. You got to put a gnome icon in there. And when they click the gnome icon, we'll tell them about a particular place they could go, something of that nature. Maybe if we incorporate all the gardening, because I saw Nadine walk in, we incorporate that, then maybe Lowe's wants to sponsor the app because Lowe's has all the spring gardening supplies for all the plants, if you're interested in that kind of thing, right? And so, you know, there's a couple of natural fits that you might go to. And so if we were to build this for real, we may want to go out and say, okay, well, how are we going to pay for this? It's going to cost us $100,000. Well, maybe we go to one of those sponsors. Maybe we get an investor. They invest in us, and then they believe that we can sell that to a sponsor based on actually getting it built. That's generally how it works. You generally go to somebody. Oh, go ahead, please.
A quick question. Could I want to get better audio for this? I want to see if you can talk to the mic instead.
Sure. Can you set it up? Do you have a tripod? Set it right here. And you can't just boom me or set me.
Oh, I wish I could. I don't have a tripod. Like
can we stick it in a?
I might just get away with it that way.
Hey, and by the way, real-time production is always cool. We can always rig a mic stand. I appreciate. Maybe it might be a little heavy for it, but we'll see if it makes it
You
work.
could try using the tape to hold it around and support or something like that.
Good.
Yeah, well, it's more about getting this to stay. And voila!
All right. Voila. See?
Ta-da.
That's called real-time production, right?
Real-time production. That's exactly what it's all about, right there.
No.
That's it. It's real-time production.
But by the way, that's real, right? Just solving a problem. When you go on a shoot, you figure out how to make stuff work in real time. That's also part of this whole idea of understanding advertising coding, right? You have people using this app in real time. You need to sort of be able to take that data and use it to make the app better, make the experience better. So, coming off of our code, any questions coming from our code, what we did 2 weeks ago? Any idea, any things that you guys felt like you learned from that experience? You share? You didn't get to do it. What about you?
It was really interesting. I never really actually seen coding like that before. How easy it is.
Yeah. That's cool. And by the way, so the reason these courses did it, right, they make it today so you can literally use phrases to write code. And that just goes to tell you, once you understand what a line of code means, then in your head, you start to translate that this group of characters and numbers and represents move up. In real code, it might be curly braces M, curly braces M, up dash colon slash over, right? But that means move up. And so now you guys understand how to put it together. So you see all these long strings of code, just think about every one of those is an instruction telling something what to do. And now you got to get into the system, right? Where's that code used? Think about Unity. Unity has code that you write to say, I want to make this item hot. Hello. You know, I want to make this item clickable in the user interface. So when we go to try to build this experience, we're going to need to get a Unity developer to help us do that part, right? So, and they're going to have to say, and this is part of the script, right? So the goal I'd like to come away with today is we have the location. We should lock down the shoot. Right? So we got to get content shot. I suggest we get content shot within the next week, 2 weeks at the latest, right? Because I'd love it if we can get content shot within the next week and then work on that for about a week. And then we have the 25th to sort of come back, figure it out. It gives us that time to get a Unity developer who can also develop against the script. So, you know, I think we came up with 3 locations most recently. We should now figure out, you know, what do we need in terms of the camera, who can come and shoot, let's pick a day to get there and get the right equipment. So for now, I know Johnny was working on getting a new 3D camera. I don't know if he got it yet. I'm gonna have to get with him to figure out if we can get that to use. Otherwise, we're gonna have to find out where we get a good 3D camera, right? One of the ones like the GoPro Fusion that can take this, right? And then, so we know you want to shoot it in sort of that monopod mode that Johnny was talking about, right? So somebody with a monopod and a backpack walking a particular place. So the other part of this script is about, okay, these are the 3 places you want to go. This is where you're going to go, right? We're going to start here, you're going to end there, and this is what's along the way. So, I mean, that's our probably most immediate task, is to figure that part out. And then let's add in, okay, you're going to go to the LA Zoo. You know where that trail starts. You're going to walk to what used to be the monkey cages, right? And back. Or walk to the monkey cages and go out a different way, whatever it is. And then the things along the way that you want to highlight. And you got to think about your experience, right? Where do you take them in? Where do you take them out? And what are you going to cut to as your next experience? And of these 3 places, which one in your flow is first, second, third? And what I thought about is how can we incorporate maybe some obstacles or things that you do along the trail, right? Along the journey. So that way we can shoot one thing, but we can accomplish multiple things with it. Because Nadine's got the idea of, okay, if we can find any kind of flora, fauna, things that are in nature that we can point out, Nadine's going to be the person that's sort of looking for that. Give us the clues, give us the information that we can point out in different places.
I was thinking that like a person with either a still camera or take like short videos and like, you know, he went and found this place and then afterward, you know, I'd shoot or something.
Yeah.
Place so that would be able to pop up.
Absolutely. I mean, what would make sense, and I think what you're talking about is, okay, so let's say going to one of the places, Stony Point Hedge. Yeah. So if you're there, imagine, okay, you're going to go in here, you're going to walk this trail, you're going to walk however far you're going to walk. Along the way, you're going to point out, someone's going to point out, hey, there's something of interest over here. And then if you wanted to interact with that, what is the interaction mechanism, right? Something's got to pop up. It's got to give you a visual cue, and you got to say, I want to interact with it, right? So I want to point to it. When I point to it, then you can cut to the second shot that Nadine has is you can then cut to see, oh, great, this is the blah, blah, blah. You need VO, you need whatever that you highlight, you know, as an example there. And then what might be cool is, okay, next you walk and you need to jump over this stream, do this to jump over this lake or to climb this thing. Move your hand and you can climb up and see the top of the tree, right? So you shoot a video that goes up the top of the tree, but you just did something to reach out virtually that lets you go up and see it from the top of the tree or something weird like that to make it interactive. So what could those things be? You know, take the controller and go down if you want to do this, or however you can think about incorporating hand gestures or something of that nature. I think that's a way we can incorporate all of this, is that whatever, maybe you can help us with what are the gestures, what are the things that you need to do, and how do we change the experience based on that? You know?
If you have like a button, like a flower or something pop up, and if you chose to do that, then you'd go.
Yeah, well, so remember, the controller has a button. So the controller senses movement, right? And it also gives you an action button. So you have icons that you can point it to and say, oh, boom, interact with that. And so if a flower pops up, that's going to tell you this. If a challenge pops up, you're going to see this, right? Yeah. Take the challenge. Right? And that would be really cool. Like if at least in each of these 3 locations, if there were a couple of challenges and a couple of things that show up as the video goes through there, right? I mean, because all we're really trying to do is illustrate a concept, right? We don't have to, it's not a full-blown game. It's just a matter of making sure we show somebody, because in the end, what we're trying to come up with is how do you prototype an experience and we can show how this works, and then we can shoot a video of it, like we saw from the hackathon, to present it to somebody to say, if we had $100,000, we could make this thing for real, right? And so the key being, I got video from 3 locations. I'm showing the story of, so there's some path, right? There's some story of those locations, right? You're taking people on an experience, right? And then there's things along the way, whether it's events, actions, that kind of thing, or whether there's information, animals, right? And now we were incorporating those things into that experience in game, right? You end up being the interaction producer, you end up being the informational data producer, you're the experience producer, if you get what I'm saying. And that way, I think we can take 3 ideas and put it into one thing that we can shoot and get a prototype done for in 3 weeks. And the name of the game is make it achievable, right? Even if you came back and said, I've only got 2 data points and one challenge for each of the 3 locations. That's cool, right? But that would show, I mean,
illustrate it.
That would illustrate the point. And the one is, what places do you go to in what order? That tells you the story, right?
Yeah, kind of like a demo or an alpha.
Yeah, that's all. Look, the goal here is rapid prototyping and developing in order to come up with something that would be a pitch presentation that could get funded. Because in the end, this is the equivalent of, one, if I know you can go through that process, then I certainly would hire you to be on my team if I'm working on those processes, right? Because I know you can come. So in the end, you could get yourself hired as your own producer because you know how to take a concept at least to pitch prototype phase. No matter what you guys do, you're always going to have to come up with these sizzle reels, right? In the end, we're coming up with a sizzle reel for an immersive content experience. It's got challenges built into it that are things along the way. It's 360 video. It's going to take you on an experiential thing, and it's got data overlay into it, right? And if you thought about how you describe this when you get finished, we produced an immersive experience in 360 video with a challenge overlay or experiences that you had to work with that let you use VR, and it had a data overlay of information along the way. Pretty cool, right? That's not something that I see every day. It's certainly not an app that you see every day out there. And it's as imaginative as I can think of whatever's available, right? So the goal I think we'd love to get to is those pieces, right? What are the areas? And I think what you guys need to do is become familiar with those 3 locations. And Pablo, you know them better than anything, so just make sure you guys are on the same page.
Here's a map of Vasquez Rocks, yeah.
Oh, nice. You already mapped it out?
No, it's online. But they have like, these different places have like lists of, I couldn't get it on my computer, but they have lists of what the plants and animals and stuff are on them. And like checklist that you would check it off if you saw it. So I mean, it's not.
So if you could pull that together, then I think for those 3 locations, pull together what we should be looking for.
Well, it's mostly the similar stuff. It's chaparral and stuff. So it's not, rockets.
Good. So then we could. I like the fact that it's similar between, say, Stony Point Hedge and Vasquez Rocks, because that way we can just point out one in one place and one in another place, and then figure out something for the other counties.
And also because they're different, the Vasquez Rocks is more extreme and everything. The plants might look different there than like
interesting. Place. So like the lavender here may look different than the lavender there.
Or a size of a tree compared to a bush somewhere and stuff.
It would be cool to know that they're the same. They look different.
Yeah. Vasquez Rocks has a lot of wind going for it too and everything. So, you know, it's gonna do it. But there's like lists, like here's the LA mountains, from Santa Monica Mountains tells what the plants and animals would be in Southern California and stuff. So, I mean, and I have books on ID things too, so.
I think that's awesome. So the goal would be to come up with maybe 2 or 3 things that we would want to try to shoot for when we're there.
Right.
And then again, location, right? When can we shoot based on equipment? When are people available? And we should really set dates so you guys can get out and capture the footage. And again, make this, understanding that it's a promo, it doesn't have to be all in. You could shoot, if you think about it, you could shoot just walking, I don't know, a few hundred yards to get from point A to point B to illustrate the concept, as long as there's connective tissue between here and there. Or if you had to shoot and condense it, and you had to shoot the entry and the exit, right? So you shoot walking in 100 yards, and you shoot walking out 100 yards to where you're going, because if they're a long distance away, you don't have to shoot that whole experience, right? You can just shoot going in, be able to identify something, show you cut to, you exiting, right? And then that way you can cover a long distance or get the effect.
And have closure to that point.
Right, so that's closure. So you go, here's my in, here's my exit. You don't necessarily have to walk all the way through, right? You just cut, entry, exit, make sure you get a couple of things, a challenge in between or something of that nature. Might be cool that you get a challenge and the challenge just takes you right to the exit, right? But I think that's a way that we can make it effective, because in the end, we're really just trying to come up with showing 3 locations, getting some kind of a challenge in and some kind of a data overlay of information in, and we're done. So I mean, you guys feel like that's achievable? And then what I think I need you guys to work on creatively are graphics, right? We probably need a logo for the event. Probably need some graphic overlay, right? Some kind of a treatment for how you're going to do it, right? So usually you've got a palette, and you usually got a stylized font or something that you're going to use that represent, everybody knows what the Survivor logo looks like, right? And they always know those different things that's their stylized scenario. So here we want to come up with something, whether it's a Expedition Unknown, right? It's cool, right? Or Explore and More, I don't know, right? Expedition into Nature. So we need a title. And then we need a graphic, right? Some kind of a palette, some kind of a piece that shows that. And then what you want to do is all the graphics that we need to display need to follow that, right? So what's our icon for nature interaction? What's your icon for a challenge interaction, right? And make those make sense. So we need those. So I can sort of list right now. I mean, we're going to come down to these are the graphical assets that need to be developed. So you guys need to come up with that in short order of what's the name you want to go with? What are the elements that you need? And hopefully the design folks on the team can go, and the job in the next 2 weeks is you guys work on that, you guys work on shooting. Right? Because that's how it works as a project, right? Once you get the graphic effects and all that kind of stuff, those guys can go off and do that part of the job themselves, meet whenever you need to, show you guys what we have. And then you guys are focused on, hey man, when can we get together and how do we get to Vasquez Rocks and what do we need to shoot there? How do you make it efficient so you can get in and out of any of these places in an hour or 2 hours? You want to make it efficient for your time. So if you know why you're going, where you're going, you're going to start here, you're going to shoot to there, you're going to start getting there. So you say, dude, got the shots, thank you very much. On to the next. Could you get to 3 places in one day? Maybe not. I don't know how close they are. But that's the goal, right? Within 2 weeks, schedule some time and the rest to get that done. At worst case, even if you got to use a little Samsung, like I have a little VR camera, I got one. I think Johnny's got one of the rest. So, if you guys pick a time and a date, we don't have the main equipment we need, we're going to use what we got. That's the other part about production.
Got a question.
Yeah.
How many people want to present on June 1st? Raise their hand. Present their projects, whether VR, immersive, or anything that they actually would like to express. 2?
Maybe. Would you interested to present? No? Okay.
So it's 2. Okay. But I think for the 2 people who want to present, what do you need? Because that's what we would want. Maybe you can actually write down the things that you need to help us help you with the presentation. Because June 1st is coming up, you might need
Yeah, just text me
What are
right
you
now.
doing, like,
I just need the addresses of where you need to go to and from.
presentation? What do you think?
Well, just all the resources, all the elements of your presentation, you have to list them so that we can make sure that you have them. All the raw materials. You need graphics, you need a title. You need to really make the presentation something that we can rehearse.
Well, I want you guys to shoot it. If you guys say you want to present, then I want to do the equivalent of what we did that first day, right? But I want to get you guys on the green screen downstairs, and like Kevin's saying, graphics. What's your presentation? What are you gonna say about the concept, right? I mean, that's where we're going, right, Kev? Get them on the green screen, get something that we can video put up, and then they can talk about it.
So kind of do a video introducing what we're gonna show.
And really, this is you, right? So as a presenter. Hi, I'm Stephanie Kramerman. I came up with an idea of how we might introduce challenges or an obstacle course. What I thought about, we incorporated it into this experience, and here's what we did. I wrote this, I came up with the interaction models, and I'm interested in doing what? X, right? Public say, I'm the next best thing that's ever happened to writing and all the rest. I wrote this cool experience, and it came out of my head, and I figured out that we can have the next big expedition into nature, right? And this is why I'm the baddest dude you ever met.
And I'm trying to set the stage for you guys to understand why your presentation is going to have your name, your vision, your voice all over it. Because we want to showcase your ability to apply whatever we have taught you, not only about the subject matter's capability of leaping off the screen immersive reality, but we really want to show you guys as students, presentation leaders, being able to address an audience of folks who are employers, they're stakeholders, and how all of this immersive media can actually come into the classroom in a structured, organized way. That's what we're assembling to showcase what could be the future of classroom instruction, certification, internship. And Apple Education is going to do a presentation that's going to be the keynote and feature of June 1st. And this guy is doing stuff that is so proprietary, so secret, he can't even be able to share. So he's going to give you guys a snapshot of what Apple's vision is of how to use the tools and curriculum. And you're going to get some opportunity, again, to interface with him. I've told him that there's going to be some people presenting. And he may be willing to even present your projects inside of his presentation, which is maybe about an hour and a half. So this is a big deal. I don't want to scare you, but this is really an opportunity for you guys to really grab the microphone.
That June 1st event that you're talking about, is it the Sunday?
Yes.
So that's where that Apple person is going to go present.
Yeah, so I've got the run to show up as it currently exists. I'll tell you exactly where it slots in. It's a good segue to the other piece is on June 1st. We are to produce this run of show. Right, so this is going to be 11 in the morning till 1:30. It'll be here. There'll be a reception and check-in, lawn out in front, right? And the rest, you got to get B-roll. The rest, we'd love to have maybe a step and repeat or some way to get photos or, a place that you can potentially interview folks as they're showing up. So I'd love to have somebody front and center out there, right? Greeting people, welcome. That's one of the opportunities that's there. We'll have the president of LA Mission College, Dr. Monty Perez. He'll give the overall welcome. We're looking to have the chair of the LA County Board of Supervisors, Sheila Cool. So we're inviting her to come and represent. And also then we have the Cultural Equality and Inclusion Initiative presented by Mr. Greg Johnson from the LA Arts Commission. Right? And so these are all folks who have access to money tied to getting this thing, getting you guys jobs, right? This is all about showing a pathway from this room to employment. And everybody speaking here is looking to try to get some of that together. And so, the keynote will be how to reach the digital learner. It's Ted Live from Apple, and that's what I'm calling it. But he'll ultimately come in and validate what Apple thinks about ways that they can offer this up, right? And you can see this collaboration pretty hard, right? We're also looking to bring the general manager of Heartbeat Studios here to talk about what his vision is for you guys and the rest. And then next is us, right? So I'm going to speak a little bit about the course. I'm sure we'll get Kevin in here and the rest. I have you at probably the top part, but to get us at the stage. But ultimately, I'll speak about what we've done right this semester, and what do we go through in the rest. And then next is student presentations. And so this is that opportunity that you're volunteering for, is to lead this student presentation, right? You come up, you say a few words, and the rest, and you have your video that you go to. Boom, this is it. And then what I'd love to lead off this with, so I'd love to close my piece with the video recap of this project, right? Here's what we came out with in the class. It's a product that we came up with. This is, here's how we came up with it, and here's our prototype of what we did, right? And then there, you guys would then present yourselves as people who participated in that project, and hopefully maybe give a few shout outs to other people on the team who maybe aren't the presenters, right? But also help to identify that there's also a team behind this and other folks who make all that happen. So that if Nadine doesn't want to get up and speak, we can talk about how she helped us do all of it. Because that's another important part, right? Is as producers, as some of those folks who are going to get up and present, you also are the example for your fellow classmates on that. And hopefully as that person, you're a representative of the overall, piece. Just as you would be in life for your team, right? When you go pitch a movie and a project, generally you're like, hey man, I got my DP, that's my guy. I've got my animator, she's been on every project. I got my art crew. I got my people who, my editor, right? As a producer, you've got your go-to folks, and the guys who are the top in this industry, they're predators, right? That's a producer, writer, editor, everything. Right? It's a Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, right? Donald Glover is the whole package and has an alter ego doing music. But that cat wrote, produced, directed, starring in a series that's been picked up multiple times, and Lando Calrissian in the new Solo, and Childish Gambino, a hit artist. That's crazy. But that's the possibility here, right? I mean, the game, if you have that vision, you do that. But then it doesn't do it without a team, right? Got to have his music team that he goes to for his production. He's got his guys that are on his show to make sure that it gets shot the way it gets shot, to interface with TNT or whoever they have to deal with, right? He's probably got a good lawyer, probably got a really good accountant, and some really good people that have his back creatively, right? So those are all things that you guys should think of. But I think you'll have the opportunity to present. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So would the next step be knowing when we would have the equipment ready?
Exactly. Okay. So one, I would like you guys to think about when you have the opportunity to shoot within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to interface with Johnny before we get out of here today to see if he's going to get these fusion cameras in. And if not, then I'll take it on myself to get you whatever I can get you based on your dates to shoot. Worst case, you got my camera. So at worst case, you got that. I'm trying to get us an upgrade. But if we got to go worst case, that's all right too, right? The other thing to know, production is sort of like the military. You got an A plan, a B plan, a C plan, right? C plan, right? I mean, the plan used to be. The plan used to be like, gentleman right here. I'm just going to show up. I'm self-contained, and no matter what, I can do everything I need to do to get it done. Even if my team doesn't show up, even if everybody else doesn't hook me up, I got my camera, I got my audio, I got my USB stick, I got my cards.
And that's what I'm trying to teach through this documentary. It's like sometimes, even though you have a very organized team, there's going to be things that come out of left field, and there's going to be no one to cover it. And if you got the camera and you got the time, you got to go cover it.
So name of the game is, Pablo, as you say, if any of these things come up, it does come down. This is where being a producer gets real lonely. Because, so wait, what do you guys, give me what you think the definition of a producer is.
Pay.
Okay.
And that's it.
They pay and that's
it.
it.
Like an executive producer that they pay and they have like final say.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, okay. What do you think?
I was thinking sort of like the same lines here. It's just they're the ones in charge of everything, the ones overlooking. They're the ones who really put the plan into how it's supposed to be. And if anything goes wrong, they're the ones that are gonna have to try to fix it.
The fixer, yeah.
So You know what it is it's all of that. What the producer is the producer is the bottom line. The producer is the one who the project lives or dies on that person and them pulling it all together or not. As a producer, if it didn't get done, it's your fault. If it did get done, it's your fault. If it got done great, it's your fault. If it got done poorly, it's your fault. You are the guy who steps up and says, you know what? No matter what, I'm committed to this project. I got the passion for this project. And no matter what happens, I'm going to see this project through to some end. That's why some producers end up, producing the thing forever, right? But why do you produce forever? Because you got a passion for it and you got the vision. But what it comes down to is some producers who can succeed because they're willing to roll up their sleeves. All right, my cameraman didn't show up. I got a camera. I got the tape. Oh, what happened? We didn't have this. Make that happen. Hey, dude, Johnny, what's up, man? I need these cameras for these kids to go happen. Let's make it happen. I need a Unity developer. We don't have a Unity developer. If I'm the producer and make it happen, I'll find a Unity developer. We got the money. I produce something. You guys don't have food to eat. The producer makes sure you got food to eat. So you show up, if you're shooting on your own time, I'm going to at least feed you. Right? That's what a producer does, right? He makes it right. He makes things happen. He takes you from point A to point B to get you from here to the next place. And without that person, somehow you have really talented people who don't get from point A to point B because they don't have that producer connecting the dots, right? You say, hey man, I'm ready to shoot, but I don't have a camera. Got you, right? I'm ready to be, oh man, I'm about to show up here. My camera guy didn't show up. I got you, right? That's what a producer does, right? You show up and you make stuff happen. You don't take no for an answer, and you do whatever you can to see that the project gets done. That's the producer.
Right. And the producer in film is different from the producer in TV.
Yes.
The producer in TV is called the run of show. And it's called an executive producer. They are the person who's responsible for making sure that the continuity and the finance, everything about that show gets on there. But in film, the producer is not an executive producer. They are the producer. And they're the person who's responsible for everything. Finance, ideation to distribution. And so, again, the most important thing is a lot of this stuff is converging between film, TV, and this new media. So, but I think most of the people will learn that you're going to have to be everything. You're going to have to, as Terrence said, the predator. It sounds like a very good term, but in order to really control everything and manage everything you can, you need to learn how to be a predator.
Yeah. If you tell somebody in the business, if like that's like one of the highest compliments you can get in production. Like that dude's a predator, right? Because I'm self-contained. I can shoot this thing with or without you. You don't need to hire a team. You hire me, I'm gonna get it done. I can produce it, write it, edit it, and deliver it to you by Tuesday. All right? Because there's a lot of guys who say, let me call my team, let me get you a proposal, let me set that up. Okay, I'm good, but my writer's gonna cost you this much money, my guy's gonna cost you over here, my editor's gonna cost us this. All of a sudden, cost, dependency. Right? Or do you take the guy who just says, I got you, I'm gonna get it done by Tuesday? Because most people who want to hire you, they understand all the details, and the rest, but your job is to take that off their plate. People hire you because you take something off of their plate reliably. You are a trustworthy and dependent individual that gets the job done, no matter what. So you can ask questions. You can ask for resources, right? There's nothing wrong with those kind of things. But you got to be cool if you don't get the resources. You got to be cool to answer something you don't like. All right, I asked. Oh, wow, okay. I'll make it happen. I suggest you ask all the questions you can before you take the job. So you know, right? And that's another thing that might get you a job. If you ask smart questions, if you ask the questions that are hitting on the person who's trying to hire you, so that person knows what they're doing, right? So example would be, we're talking to Johnny. Johnny's talking about shooting. He says, look, man, he says, I can shoot 720p because when you broadcast it out on the stream, it doesn't matter. I don't need a red camera. That guy's produced before. He's telling me I can use this 10-year-old camera that I got in my bag to produce a quality stream, right? He's not a guy telling me, oh, I can't produce quality stream because I don't have the latest, greatest camera and I need you to pay me X so I can go rent this thing. Huh? Right? That's the difference between somebody who gets hired because you have done it and you'll take the responsibility and you've been through the course. You don't worry about having a mic stand. I'll make it work. I'll get you quality audio. You know that you need audio closer to the source. I don't care if you come and tape it to this. I have seen guys, roll of duct tape is one of your best friends. I've seen the guys duct tape stuff. I've seen a guy duct tape a camera to a stick. Serious, to get a shot. Wrapping the camera, because you're an expensive camera, right? You're like, what are you doing? I got you. He's wrapping the camera. You want the elevated crane shot? There's your crane shot. But when you look at the final product, you had an elevated shot. Looked like the guy had a jib. Guy had a camera duct taped to a piece of wood. But in the end, you got the shot, right? Nobody asked you how you got the shot. Paparazzi, how do they get that shot? They're hiding in the woods, telephoto lens, trying to catch somebody coming out the club. You know what I mean? They're up on a bush somewhere waiting all night, but they know, Puppy's in that club. I'm going to get my shot of him coming out there with the Ciroc or, whatever, right? Click. And by the way, click, send it to TMZ, instantly collect $2,500. Was that worth staying up at night, being creative, and getting the shot of Puppy that they wanted? And you think you get hired by TMZ because they care how you get it done?
That's how much they make.
You don't care how you get it.
You can make as much as there's some shots you get $25,000 for the shot. If you get Khloe Kardashian right now, with or without Tristan, because there's a story behind both of those, right? If she's with him, what's the story of where you at? No, she ain't with him. Hey, she ain't with him. Who was she with? Right? But I'm just saying, yeah. Because think about me. Okay, let's go back to what we were talking about and how people make money. If you're TMZ, you need the hottest shots every single day. If it's a light day and I don't have anything, and you got Beyonce doing something cool, and I need to put it on television, how much would I pay for that clip? Think about if that clip goes on TMZ today, there's ads that go on TMZ that could make $25,000 for every 30 seconds. So every episode is millions of dollars. So yeah, would they pay you $25,000 just to get a shot to make sure that TV program is interesting and has more viewers? Right? So, and again, Johnny, when he was talking about last time we talked to him, he's saying if you guys understand how to stream and you can show up in the right place at the right time and stream live video and you can do it reliably, they're going to pay you the going rate because there's not that many people you're competing with, right? So remember that talent also has scarcity. You have certain skills, just like Unity developers. I showed you guys the junior Unity developer job description that was making $60,000 to $70,000 for a junior person who probably doesn't know any more than anybody who takes Unity and can learn it here or anywhere else. Learn it on your own over the weekend. And if you go out and you can be basically proficient, take instructions, know how the commands work. That's junior, right? Junior means I know the program well enough to know it, but I'm not totally fun. You're the junior guy. You do all the crap. Somebody's going to tell you what to do. They just need to know that you know the right keys to push in that software and the basic commands. Just like Kevin was talking about being proficient in Microsoft Office. There's a test that's going to show how proficient you are in Excel. It's probably going to have stuff like pivot tables and functions and all kinds of equations and things in it. That's to be proficient in Excel. Now, if you weren't proficient in Excel, but you were smart enough and willing to learn and you showed me that you could understand an Excel spreadsheet that I put in front of you, I might still give you the gig. Because I feel like you're willing to learn, you have the basics, you put yourself out there, right? Those are the things that are going to be the difference between the guy who gets hired and the person who doesn't get hired, right? You have to be willing to say, I will get it done. You need me to learn Excel, I'll show up Monday morning. If you tell me I got a gig and it's about Excel, and I'll spend all weekend, what I would ask is, what's the question? What do you need me to know how to do in Excel? Can you give me some example spreadsheets that I would be seeing and working with in Excel so I can take a look? I will come back and I will understand what it is that you need to do or have the right questions for you by Monday morning, if this means I can get a job. That's the difference between that hungry person, that person who gets hired, and that person who doesn't get hired, is being willing to put yourself out there and have those kind of expectations, to be basically familiar with the basic fundamentals. If you come into a job and I'm looking for you to be a producer, segment producer. You need to come in and think about, well, what does a segment producer do? You better look up all the job descriptions you can on segment producer and understand what they're expecting to do. And hopefully you look it up before you talk to me and you call me back and you tell me exactly what I want to hear. Right? A lot of times you go to a job interview and you expect somebody to tell you what they're trying to hire. The job interview is for you to ask the questions and verify your assumptions and your thoughts about what you think you're going to be doing. Right? You should already have assumed before you walk in that door, what does my day look like if I go take this job? Maybe you should go talk to somebody who has a job like the job you're looking for, right? Dude, what do you do every day? Right? Because maybe that tells you it's the right job or not for you. Because the job looks good on paper. But you figure out what they do every day, like, oh man, it says that I'm this, assistant, but all I do is answer phones all day. By the way, where are you answering phones though? If you're answering phones at CAA, you still take that job and say, I'm gonna be the #1 chief phone. I'll work in the mail room at CAA. Why do you work in the, okay. Why would somebody take a job to work in the mail room at a major title agency? What's the biggest benefit of doing that?
Content.
Right, how?
Content.
You're on the right path. How do you get the content?
I think if you're already working in the company, even if it's like a lower job, they're more willing to give you the job than someone that has never worked there because you kind of understand how things work.
So you're hitting on it. So the key job in the mailroom is the person in the mailroom sees everything going in and out of the agency. You see who gets all the messages. Now, this was the old school mailroom where everything went through the mailroom, right? Today it's email and all the rest. You have to be the IT email guy. But in the mailroom, or call be the assistant, right? Be it the gopher. The gopher knows what happens. The gopher is the person who gets the call that says, hey, we got Tom Hanks coming in today. You better go down to this bakery and get this kind of thing over here because he likes this, he likes that, and all the rest. And if you're the guy who goes and gets the right stuff and makes that a very good meeting for Tom Hanks to walk into that office, you're the person, you're the man or the woman, right? And if you work for a big time agent, you'll be sitting out front and you'll see who he's screaming at or who he's being nice to or who he says, I'll take that call. Oh, don't want to talk to that guy, tell him this, right? I'll back all up for myself. My first career in advertising, worked for a pretty prestigious radio representation firm, had stations all over the country. I was an assistant, had to wear a shirt and a tie every day, and I was making less than $16,000 a year. I just graduated college, I had student loans, $16,000 a year in Los Angeles. You must be kidding me, even though that was years back. Even if it's $25,000 now, you guys know you can't wear a suit and tie and drive to LA every day or $25,000 a year. I'm living in a shack somewhere, right? And driving a bucket. But I did it. Why did I do it? Because they said, look, we know we're not paying you enough to stay here. We ask that you give us at least a year. And within that next year, if you're not in a position to already make a move in the rest, you're probably not cut for this industry. Because if you're good and you can do that for that amount of time, you will learn enough, seen enough, and if you're good enough, somebody's going to come at you and say, oh, you worked at that company for a year? We already know what that company puts their people through. So we'll gladly hire you. Because they already had, you're a known quantity at that point. You spent a year inside of a company, you survived inside that environment. So part of the job is making yourself accessible and surviving within an environment and being a helpful person, but being listening. So the guy at Heartbeat was talking about taking on interns. We asked him, so what's the most valuable thing about an intern? And he said, knowing when to say something and knowing when not to. And half the time it was when not to. I know you're excited. I know you're sitting in the room. I know Kevin Hart is just talking to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and you're sitting in front of it and all the rest. And I know you're tempted to want to interject something into that conversation. That is not the time for you to say it. That is the time for you to sit back and take it in and understand, well, why am I in the room with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart? Who else is in the room? Who are they talking to? And what are they doing? And how do I make sure that everybody feels comfortable and I'm not, I'm able to be in the room, listen, and who put me in the room? How do I make sure that person who put me in the room has everything they need? Right. So the one question you might want to ask is, do they know what requirement was? That might be as much as you said in that whole room. And if you do that, you'll get in that room again and again. And one day, the person who hired you would say, hey, Kevin, man, I got you got to be Pablo was the one who just did that presentation that we rocked for Dwayne, and we got that job because Pablo put that deck together. That's your time to say, thank you very much for the opportunity. Is there anything else I can do for you? Right? But that's the time to get that recognition, to let it happen. So many times, you want to get in, but if you can be in those places and almost just be that silent support, you will be such a value. And so many people can't do that. So they don't get the gig, no matter how talented you are. You can't understand the circumstance that you're in. And we were talking a little bit about soft skills, right? Those are soft skills, right? When not to say something.
Let me say one of the things that you almost can't teach, but you have to try and learn how to incorporate into your overall personality and technical. Because you may be capable, you may get in, quickest way to get out is to not be able to understand that as aspirational as you are, it's not the time to pitch yourself. When you're in an internship, an apprenticeship, even a temp job, the last thing you want to do is to pitch somebody or even promote the fact that you even exist. So that's what I'm finding is a real problem because everybody's here to try and promote their brand. But when you get inside and get access, it's so tempting. But you just have to be able to understand it. It's going to come to you if you're in.
Right. The value is getting in and staying in. Right? Your time will come. And I think you don't want to be a threat and you don't want to be a liability. In this business, threats and liabilities are people who talk too much, give out too much information, talk when they don't know what they're talking about. Understand there's all kinds of things going on in the rooms that you're in. What you should be doing is sitting back and looking at the dynamics. Kevin's pissed off today. Wonder why he's pissed off. Best thing to do, stay the heck out of his way or make sure that you can get him something if he asks you for it. Right? No need to say, oh man, what happened? You're probably trying to talk to you. Right? Just understanding how to read a room and read a situation and understanding how to make people feel comfortable with your presence and not threatened so that way you will be in the room to learn, to hear. And I'm saying all this and it sounds like I may be going on about it, but what I mean is come June 1st. That's also the protocol, right? The protocol on June 1st is we're going to give you guys a slot. That's going to be the time to shine. That's going to be the time to pitch all you need to pitch, say what you need to say, do what you need to do. The rest of the time is making all these people feel super comfortable with the presence because you are representatives of LA Mission College. And you're producing an event at LA Mission College for the chair of the LA County Board of Supervisors, right? For the president of LA Mission College, for the head of the LA Arts Commission, right? And all of those people need to walk away saying, you know what? Those students over at LA Mission College, man, they put on a class event. They just had us taken care of day one. We didn't have to worry about a thing. That's the main piece there. We take a quick break here. Take a quick phone call.
Okay. Cool. Okay, and I have an announcement. At the end of the class, I'm going to pass out a job application that I'm going to turn it out. I need everybody to fill it out as best they can. And at some point, I'm going to also ask you to put your telephone number. I'm going to do a telephone interview. I have some internship opportunities, working on multiple projects. But as part of my deliverables for this class, I have to make sure that you guys are interviewed for the project. And I have to make a report of what I found as something that I could actually push through as a next level interview. And we're going to work at really trying to actually review what happened. And I'll probably do this again during the course of the week. What I found with the interview to be something that I want to put in that report. How many of you guys have ever done a telephone interview? Anybody? A telephone interview? How about an interview?
I did practice one once.
Okay, so everybody's done an interview. Okay. Has everybody here, and this is one of the things we asked for day one, has everybody done a LinkedIn? Everybody? Raise your hand if you haven't done one.
Wait, what?
A
Raise your hand
LinkedIn.
if you haven't done your LinkedIn.
I have mine. I just don't
LinkedIn,
have summer.
LinkedIn.
I don't know that.
Okay.
It's the
well,
website he talked about the first week.
Yeah, from day one, we talked about everybody putting themselves into LinkedIn. There is a certification that LinkedIn now has that we're gonna try to make sure we get that certification for you guys because it will certify you as someone who understands the lingo of job search, job application, all the things that are the process of getting a successful search and placement. And no matter what, that's what we want you guys to have because your first job, you're probably not going to be working as a producer, writer, director. Your first job is going to possibly be something more in the admin space. You're going to want to know that you have the ability to promote yourself as somebody who can do an admin type thing. And LinkedIn is a really good resource to showcase your capabilities to be an admin person, showing all of your skill sets, but people who are really looking for folks, and these are really important terms to me, someone who has loyalty. And loyalty means that if I give you an assignment, whether it be a week or 2 weeks, you commit to the whole 2 weeks. Because I've had people take a 2-week commitment and somebody else offer them a better situation in 1 week and they're gone. And it kills everything I did to make you the person that I chose for the 2-week assignment. Now I gotta go and find somebody else and it just destroys my whole continuity. And a lot of people don't understand that because it's like, hey, it's about me and my ability to get placed in the best situation that I can. But the quickest way to kill your reputation is for somebody to put on LinkedIn and, hey, this person, they left me cold. And you can't defend that. That will kill you in LinkedIn if somebody puts a bad report that you left the gate early. So you have to not be loyal so much to the job or the employee, but be loyal to yourself. There's a lot of opportunities that will come, and it's the best situation for the dollar. But there may be a way for you to go to the person and say, hey, it's offering 5 times the amount of money, it's a better opportunity, and then they understand. But you just can't say, hey, I gotta go. So those are things that I've come across quite a bit. The most important project that I have is something called Digital Hollywood. Terrence will bring it up in fact. But it is probably the preeminent, powerful, actually a 4-day conference about everything that's happening on the horizon in the entertainment industry. And I've got passes for you guys to go. It's an $800 ticket, 4 days. And the people who go there, they're very hungry to exchange their business cards, meet people, get an internship, to get a project pitch, and more likely than not, they're not going to get the meeting and the introduction they need because everybody that comes there is powerful, comes there really just to kind of talk about their projects, or they come just to kind of hang out. And they don't want to be pitched. Not the place to pitch, but if you're really looking at how people conduct business there, you'll learn a lot about what not to do. Well, I'm going to give you guys a chance if you go there to meet these people. I'm going to set up the appointments, the interviews, and places for you guys to be able to kind of, again, understand that you're a student, you're hungry, but I'm going to make the introductions the best I can so that you can meet them as people who could possibly receive, I call it goodwill. The guy that runs the organization, his name is Victor Harwood. He's the person that I want you guys to do a little research and get to know him. I'll personally introduce you to him and run the whole thing. And if he likes you, he'll grab you by the hand and introduce you to somebody that he wants to adopt as his new mentor, mentee, or his new apprentice. So that's how quickly something can happen for you guys. Now, I don't want it to happen quick enough so you don't come back for June 1st, but it can happen. And there's several people who've actually asked me if they want to, a lot of people actually who don't come again on Fridays because they need work. And you guys, I appreciate you guys coming on Fridays because I know that this is a class that offers up credit or certification. So loyalty swings both ways. with you guys showing up, I'm going to make sure at Digital Hollywood, if you can come, that I introduce you as people that I can vouch for, who showed up, didn't ask for anything, nothing was promised, but you made it through. And that's important to me. In this business, it's really important to find people that I feel like they just do what they do because they are who they are. So I'm going to, again, promote as much as I can, not the class, but personalities. Even though there's, a group of people here, it's really individuals, it's personalities. And some of you guys do that by virtue of the work that you do. Some people know that to even send an email, unsolicited. Oh, I'd like to be the intern, project lead, or I'd like to do something. So those emails that I've received from people, even if you're going to be late, if you can't make it, they mean a lot. They do. So I appreciate that. Any questions or suggestions or comments about Digital Hollywood? Because I'm gonna drill down on it a little bit more.
Where's he?
It's at the Screwball Center. Has anybody never heard of the Screwball Center? Raise your hand. Screwball? Okay. Screwball Center is off the 405. It's going south of here. It's actually the exit after the 405 101 exchange. But just beyond it is Sunset. Sunset is the exit.
Isn't it like Walmart?
Well, you can reach it. You can reach it by Sepulveda. So it's on Sepulveda. But it's really near, the Screwball Center is really near, right off the 405. But the
Mulholland, I think, is the exit.
Well, they have a Screwball exit off the 405 both ways, coming south. And if you guys come to the valley, there's a Screwball exit. And just about this event, I used to go 10 years ago. And a lot of the people that are at the top of their game, they were going as just attendees, not the panelists. And again, sometimes it's really good to be in the company of folks who remember your name or see you frequently in places. But there won't be very many students there. I can tell you that. Okay. So you guys will stick out like a sore thumb. But you guys will have a press release. You guys won't just have, badges or press release. And some of the people who haven't showed up today have asked to participate. So I'm gonna wait till maybe the last. We're gonna wait. I think May 22nd is a Tuesday, so I'm gonna wait to that weekend to confirm everybody, tell them where to show up for their press release. And I know some of you guys have classes, so you can't come all the time. But the day that I'm gonna ask everybody to show up will be the day I can. We got to organize it. So he knows your names and faces, and really again, figure out at some point to introduce you when he has the opportunity. We would just love to share how they love to share, about back in the day how they used to do it. So, okay, cool. So I want to introduce this young man if we get a chance there.
Yeah, please, no, go ahead.
Okay, so I sent you an email, and we see the one that I sent was a YouTube that.
This Urban Media Matters?
Yeah. So we can put that baby on, and then I'm going to bring.
This one right here? We Are Urban Media Makers West?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you better turn the camera around here.
Turn it around.
Okay.
With no one to man it.
Okay, remember, you're the predator.
Exactly.
Ready, set, go.
There's some sizzle.
There's some sizzle.
That's
That's one way of putting it.
So let me set this up. Let me give you a little context. So I met this young man at a meeting that was produced by the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, which was a meeting of stakeholders, corporations, and folks to talk about all the things they were planning to bring more industry into community colleges. Not in the classrooms, but in the community colleges, in partner. Hulu was there, the COO of Hulu was at this meeting. But there were a couple of students in the room, and one of them started to ask a lot of questions towards the end of the presentation, and literally was kind of disruptive to the flow, because they were trying to get this thing finished so that they can actually do a tour of the facilities right after the meeting. And I started to realize that this was a move that I hadn't really seen before in an adult setting or a power setting like that, to have a young person kind of say, hey, how's this information going to flow down to us? How are we going to participate in this? And I was so impressed, I wanted to go and meet him after the meeting. I didn't want to take the tour. And so we talked a little bit about me showing up to one of his urban media makers classes. And what I heard was a message about how this organization wanted to give students a voice, about how not only the curriculum, the lesson plans, all of the programming that's going to benefit them, how students got, needed a seat at the table to be able to participate. And how this stuff, again, kind of was consumed by them. So I have a question for you guys. Is there anybody here that's ever questioned, how do people make the decisions about the curriculum that talk to you? Anybody ever asked that question, or you just kind of take it for granted that this is something that,
Oh, sorry.
So if that's the question, I don't know if you guys can answer right now, but I believe that's what I'm interested in, and I can't speak for Terrence, but I'm interested in finding ways for you guys to think about being more activists and determining a role that you can fill to make this part of the mantra of being a student who takes control, democratizes the process, and becomes really somebody who sets the table for future generations of students. So it may not be for you, but that's something that I would definitely want to promote. And so without further ado, I wanted to introduce this young man and have him talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things we've been talking about and really why he's doing what he's doing.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Hi, everyone. My name is Shani Monedo. Before we get into things, I just want to see, is it possible to get that email I sent you earlier this morning?
Oh.
If I can get that up there. I was gonna email home, but I can.
Okay, so do some soft shoe, man, so I can bring that up.
All right, so essentially, my name is Shani Monedo, and I'm part of the Santa Monica College's Urban Media Makers West Club. We're a media club that just covers events on our own campus. And so I guess you could say we're all predators in our own right. We work with each other to constantly generate schedules, time shoots, sharing the equipment, sharing resources to get to these events, capture it, edit it, and get it out there as crisp and as fast as we possibly can. And so I was very interested in the whole entire educational sense of it and how and where the whole industry is moving. And so being invited to that meeting and getting a chance to just listen in on the discussion that they were having at hand on these huge topics like the CEII. I'm sure, do you guys know of the CEII?
No.
I'll show you right now.
So there was the Cultural Equity Inclusion Initiative put forth by the LA County the 5 district supervisors. And it's about diversifying the industry and filling in that job gap with applicants from LA County itself. And so just learning about that by itself, and then knowing that all these huge names are here, along with just education board and even us students are here at this meeting to talk about it, was very, very empowering. And so what my goal is to film students such as yourselves, and film students such as my club members and myself on how we organize ourselves, how we engage each other to create a platform to learn and grow from one another, to attain these soft skills, to obtain the information that's key for us to thrive within the industry, and how we're doing that. And that's what I'm trying to document right now, documenting you guys having these meetings here.
K-frame? Is that this?
And this is the documentary itself. It's called, that was a typo, it's called key framing.
Oh, key framing.
Not okay framing, but key framing, because I'm thinking of when you're key framing a timeline, and when you're editing on a video, you're key framing these important events, and you can play back between the key frames. And so that's why I wanted to call it key framing. But it's okay. And the documentary is called Key Framing. It covers how we as students got into the industry-related meetings and events, set up a system that helped us make fresh content on a weekly basis, and goes over the interviews and coverage we got at the industry-related events and meetings, and why it's important and essential that we got this information, and how we can use it to benefit ourselves and for future generation students. And it can be used as a documentary to teach future media students about the process we went through to make it easier for them. And it's really leaving behind a template or just something to be looked at, to be analyzed, to be broken down, and to be imitated or reinvented even by future generation students. And so that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with this documentary.
Just a second.
And so, where is it?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was gonna.
And so I'm consulting with Kevin Clark and my own professor on how we can make this kind of documentary happen. How can you get the backing, the resources or the support needed from other colleges or from your college itself, from the schools themselves, into supporting this kind of documentary, which is giving back to future students. Because I completely understand that when you join a club that's this active as our own, there's so many opportunities coming up that people are going to get shot off into the industry left and right. There's going to be a high overturn rate. So how do you handle those kind of situations? How do you prepare students for those situations? And I think that this documentary is really about tackling just that.
You got to do 5 bullet points.
Oh yes, so thank you. So it's a student narrative documentary about how breaking into the industry requires hard work and information. And so we're documenting the hard work. So like this morning, I woke up 5 a.m. It's just capturing that moment. Me waking up, talking to the camera about how I feel about today, what I'm going to be achieving, doing A, B, and C meetings. I was supposed to go straight there to CMD to do interviews for all of my club members, but they already have a camera there. So they still get to do that, but I had to switch tasks and I had to come here because this was another opportunity. And so I filmed myself just saying that to the camera. This was me, and like, it's crazy all this stuff is happening, but this is how I'm going to keep tasks and make sure that both things are getting done still, but I'm still able to also document them. And it's showing through just that one little interaction, you're showing not only how to deal with those kind of situations, but it's also showing, what it takes to really become successful in this industry. And so it's turning what we capture into a series that can be dissected. And it's just a series of documentaries of events or meetings that we covered. And then at the end, it's kind of just our snippets of why it's important and how you can build it. grow from that. So that's the document I'm hoping to achieve, keyframe.
And
Yeah.
can you talk about what we did last Friday?
So last Friday was probably one of the most important and greatest meetings I've been a part of. And that was going over to LA County's 3rd District office, Sheila Kuhl's office, and meeting with her deputy, Patricia Castellanos. And it was being able to sit in with her in a meeting and really discuss and just take in the various programs or initiatives that students are putting forth or companies are wanting to put forth to connect students to the industry, to train and to develop a new generation of media makers, immersive media makers, and to diversify things. And so being able to sit in on that meeting was not only important because of the roles we had to play, which was not as daunting as one would think. And it's to represent students, to pioneer the path by sitting in on that meeting and just saying we were there and we represented the community college students who couldn't be here. But we're here to let you know that we are engaged, we are listening, and we are trying to connect with you guys as well. And so being able to sit on that meeting and do just that was wonderful. And I want to continue having such meetings and going to such events with Kevin Clark and continue being that student presence, that student voice. And so this documentary is also what I'm hoping to use to build that foundation to allow for more events like that to occur and to really create a network of students that can work together to make these kind of things happen.
Just to set up the meeting that we went to, Vice President of this campus was there, and the regional director for AT&T was there. And we had a couple of LA Mission students and a couple of Santa Monica City College students. And the meeting was called to try and get a better understanding of what were the convergence of things that the corporations from AT&T that were there represented. We had a gentleman from Apple on the phone to talk about specifically LA Mission College and maybe how this could be a pilot for us to get more momentum for getting the politicians and the stakeholders to open their minds to the possibilities of students to have a bigger play in how all these things were going to be formulated. And the aftercare of the meeting, we sent a letter to her taking the time, but she sent a letter back saying that she was happy to spend the time, but she was particularly interested in how and why I invited the students. But I didn't tell her I was bringing, but it was a very positive thing at the end of the message. She said, "I'm glad that you brought them, and I wanted to hear from them, and I want to hear more." So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is to try to be brave or courageous enough to always put students out there. And, you know, again, it's not to disrupt or to replace what the instructors and administrators do to speak for you. But if I'm brave enough to put you out there, I'm looking for you guys to be brave enough to say, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I represent. And that's what we're really looking for out of this presentation on June 1st. You guys to break through and let people who are in the audience know that, you know, again, you guys have
A wonderful opportunity.
you guys have all the reasons to start to encourage other students like yourselves to start thinking about coming up with solutions, programs for themselves. Not that they're going to ever be implemented, but that's what I'm thinking if we're trying to create a movement. Okay. Any questions or suggestions, comments for Shoni moving forward? Okay, great.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Well, guys, one of the things I'll do, and Terrence,
I'm very curious about what you guys are trying to achieve here.
is there anybody who's brave enough to get up in front of the camera? I'm actually going to pick Stephanie, ask Stephanie about what happened last week with her transfer program in San Diego State. So come on, yeah, come on up. I listen, I watch things.
Oh, you get from the cord.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay,
So stand right, yeah, right there. It's
wait,
perfect.
just talk to the camera?
Yeah, talk to the camera.
Talk to the camera.
But also, yeah, tell us what you did and why.
Yeah.
Well, I got accepted into UC San Diego, so it as in visual arts major. So this past Friday, there was a transfer event for students that got accepted to go to the school and to just learn a little bit more about what the school is going to offer you if you decide to transfer into that school. And yeah, I went and I asked a lot of questions about my major and about like things like studying abroad and clubs that they offer. It was mostly about my major because I wanted to know if it was the right fit for me. And yeah, I met a lot of people, asked a lot of questions, met some faculty, and it was a really cool experience.
So you've been accepted, or are you going to go?
Yes. I don't think so. I got accepted into several UCs and some Cal States, but I feel like UC, since they're more like research based, they're not that good when it comes to art. And I'm really into digital art. I really like what we're doing here, and I'm really into like social media, things like that. So the programs that are offered at the UCs, except UCLA, they're not that good for what I want. They may be a little bit more focused on fine arts, which is not really my main focus. So yeah, I'm still not sure what I'm going to be doing next year. I am considering to do one more year in community college because I did not get accepted into my dream school,
What is your dream school?
UCLA. So I'm very persistent, and yeah, I think I'm gonna do that, but I'm still seeing my other options. So we'll see.
So where do you see yourself fitting in the industry? Just some.
Well, currently I'm doing an internship for a social media marketing startup, and I just started, but so far I love what I'm doing. So I really like that realm. I like social media. Right now I'm kind of like a graphic design intern, so I also like graphic design. Yeah, I feel like what I've explored so far I've really liked, but I feel like I do want to take that next step to explore more that is out there in the world of like immersive media. I really like VR. I really like what we're doing with this project, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. And hopefully, if it turns out well, we can take it even further throughout time. I feel like it can be one of those projects. Like, I don't think it's just going to be one of those things that works for like for the next couple of weeks. If it's good and it has potential, I feel like it can go farther than that. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask Pablo to give us some points of view and some reflections on what's going on as well.
Yay.
Hello.
I'm just focused on the project.
Take the stage, sir. It's all yours. Get your good side and everything. I promise.
So yeah, a little bit touching on, like, I absolutely agree with you. I agree with that project that we're working on. Again, most definitely has potential of expanding more. I'm not one to dream small. I like to dream big. So I see this project going on to different platforms, constantly being updated. I know exactly expanding. I know we're working on a couple other projects, whole VR, obstacle course, which also gonna take the chance because I have the scripts ready for it as well. So we'll be able to start focusing on that. Focusing on this class. Don't have anything bad to say about it. This class has been very. I've never really been a part of a class like this before, so it was it was a really good experience for me. I'm really hoping and glad to see where we're at and how we're moving along and what this class holds in the future. with the June 1st event and even the AT&T Shape. I'm really excited on how that's going to play out for us. I mean, I see us performing both over here on June 1st, and who knows, maybe we'll perform at AT&T Shape.
Hey, the whole reason why we experimented with this was because of a pledge that AT&T made to us, that they were going to support this. But there's this thing called the Department of Justice that stopped their merger between Time Warner, which essentially is AT&T is a wire carrier,
Yeah.
a distribution company, satellite and online, decided that they wanted to purchase the world's largest catalog of entertainment, news, and sports. And DOJ, Donald Trump said no. And that's what we've been fighting, or AT&T's been fighting in the courts. They had their final arguments last week, and June 12th, they will get a determination of whether they support that merger. If that merger in fact happens, that means AT&T will have Warner Brothers catalog of entertainment. They'll have CNN News. They'll have Turner Sports. What else am I missing? Warner Brothers, CNN. Just about everything in that universe that Time Warner Inc. owns will be coming to the West Coast. So El Segundo, where we went to the AT&T Development Lab, will become the center of the universe for the largest entertainment company. And the reason why we've been continuing on is that they want to see on June 1st who the people who stuck this thing out. That's why I haven't been begging people to come. It's 4 people, it's 1 person who shows up. They want to see who's there. And literally, that's what we're going to use as our reason for phase 2 of this thing. We've already got some commitments from production companies, studios, to help us with phase 2, plus the money. And that's going to help us with all the things that we don't currently have right now, which is transportation to get to and from some of these field trips. The first one that we're going to offer up is, and I want to get your comment about this. What are some of the things that you need to thrive as a student or as a producer in the digital media pathway? So talk about some of the things you need. Yeah.
Are we talking about real things or stuff?
Everything you can think of is going to help you get better at being able to get where you want to be.
Well, one thing for sure, I think, is that'll help you get the passion for it. Everyone needs to find passion. I happened to find this passion last semester, but as a producer, like that, I feel like you need something to drive you. Obviously, like camera, a group of people, a team. What else? Editors, or what we're doing with the project now, especially with coding, Unity. Perfectly gonna be a lot, but
Well, talk about some of the things.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You like to have a camera. What about laptop?
Laptop. Well, we got laptops good.
Okay. But some of the things that, not just equipment, but some of the things that you think are necessary to help you experiment a little bit more, get outside of the box. What things, and I'll give you a hint, mentorship or somebody that you could actually call on day to day. But things like that, I mean, can you speak to things like that that could possibly help you more of that?
Yeah, I mean, a mentor would be amazing. Someone who actually knows how to use stuff, someone who actually teach us and give us hands-on experience with this as we're working on a project. I'd very much like to always have someone that I can talk to. If I have a question or if I need something, hey, it's help. I don't know exactly what I'm doing here. What are some insights that you can help me out with?
Quick question. What else, in terms of what you need, what is your end game, your end goal for this project? Like if you were to get this backing, ideally, what would you do with it? What's your end game?
My end game is really, that's actually really hard. I wanted to make my whole vision about the project was that I wanted to help basically create an escape. People are stressed out, especially college students. Everyone's stressed out. I don't think I've ever met someone who hasn't stressed in life. I wanted to create something that will help them get away, something taking them a little break. I guess my end will be I want this to be able to help everyone who can need the benefit. I want us to show the beauty of nature, especially here in our own backyard. I want to start off with Southern California, someplace I like to go personally to help me relax or take a break. And then in the future, work up to different parts of Northern California, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. And hopefully we'll be able to make, with the knowledge that we are able to get a completely different world.
And like, what examples of other games could you give in terms of how this would interact with the users of this VR game that you're trying to create?
I'm picturing kind of like something where you as a person can create your own story. For example, the Mass Effect series. Are you able to make your own choices in the game and that will impact the end game? So what I want to do is I want to be able to make as the hiker or the person that you are, that you're going through it, be able to map out your own area. Everyone else could go different routes or what they want to do, but ultimately being able to create your own hiking trail throughout this virtual world.
And what in this virtual world, is it all going to be during the same daytime, or does it slowly go to the evening on your trail? And if you go to different places at different times, you get to explore different parts of it.
Yeah. So what I want to do is have like a sort of like a inward clock where the sun will still keep on setting. Because I mean, if you go to one spot during the day, yeah, you'll see all the stuff. But you also want to see night. So if you want to go back to that area, yeah, and the sun's down, move that. You'll be able to interact with different things. There's different plants, flowers that bloom during the night. Or even some animals that come out.
Would you have any place within this app where people who join it will be able to leave their kind of digital footprint? Like, would they be able to go up to a virtual tree and like carve their initials, or like, let's say you have a visitor's post and they'd be like, "Hey, I love this part of the thing. It was a beautiful trip. I loved it."
Actually, I was working on the script. I was actually kind of thinking of something like that. I was thinking kind of like putting on like a beacon or a banner. And that banner would be like kind of your own little emblem where you fit. You mark it down, and as you like, let's say you exit the game, that's where it will start up again. And you can even leave it there. So let's say another person comes in. Let's say we add in multiplayer to it. You want to go hiking with a friend, you guys make a little hiking group, or you guys say, hey, we did this, whatever the challenges. Different aspects will add little things that'll help personalize it, make the story come out more.
I think that's really cool. Very cool trip. I can imagine being like calling a friend up who's halfway across the states, but hey, dude, online road trip. We're just gonna go hiking in this ancient Chinese village. Let's do this and just hop in there. Let's go exploring around. I think that would be a really cool idea. So yeah.
I have a question. This is going to be something that I'm going to ask everybody. I'm actually trying to find a way for you guys to come up with one or two questions we can ask everybody. So we have a common thread of questions where we get answers that are going to help us get better at phase 2. But I'm going to come up with a question, and everybody in this room is going to get in front of that camera and talk a little bit about, in a perfect world, what could they share with their former self, their former younger self? Because what I'm looking for you guys is to not just be mentees, but mentors. The young high school and middle school students that are coming before you. So my question, note to former self, what would you do differently to tell the younger self?
I need a better angle for this.
I need a better angle for this.
I only have so much battery too.
You didn't have a
We're
charger
gonna give
or
everybody a
battery?
chance.
No, I do, but like it only charges like unless there's like a portal here I can plug it into.
But like fortunately with the plugs are over here by the computers.
It's fine, like I got.
Are there any plugs you see any other?
No, it's fine, we.
Well, these have to be plugins.
Okay, so note to former self.
Okay, try to stay as still as you can.
As
Sorry,
a,
I'm a little, I'm like.
I got you on.
right.
You
So
got
as a younger Pablo, what would you be telling the younger Pablo about how not to do things or how to do things to get the better space in place?
Let's see, let's form yourself, start off like that. Don't be scared to take this. It's always nice to have a little bubble, but you gotta burst that bubble. You have to push through, you have to take that plunge. Never know when an opportunity will present itself. So that little window, it's closing fast. Face one problem at a time again. Jump in, head first, do what you gotta do. Focus on the rest later.
Fantastic. Give me your first and last name.
My name's Pablo Cadena.
Thank you, Pablo. Okay. Next up, everybody's gonna do this. This is. Okay, we're gonna start with first and last name. And your name is first and last name.
I'm Eva Oliver.
Okay, then. All right. What have you learned thus far about the class and about yourself? First and foremost. We're gonna get back to that question. Nothing from yourself.
What I've learned in the class is there's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's a lot to just like a project that you might like see, like a commercial or something, and you think, oh, like it was so done easily, and maybe a couple of people worked on it, but there's always like different parts of people and like opinions and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting. And what was the question?
Okay, well, we'll go to note to former self. So what would you tell the younger guy about how to get to where you are now? Differently.
Ignore that. Okay, so I would say to not procrastinate for sure, to just like go ahead and dive into something because time just go very fast and people like to talk a lot and not like to take action. And then by the time you know it, you're like, oh, I have this plan. And it's like 5 years later, and I'm still like, I still want to do it as much, but like you could do something sooner. And what like a lot of people do is, like we all like want money, and some people will take like crappy jobs just to like save up and like to want things and stuff. But I feel like you should like just go with the flow and like do what you like hobbies and stuff like that, because they'll always take you to like where you want to be. And even if it doesn't pay you automatically faster, it's like the quality of life is so much better doing like what you actually want. And yeah, just to like do something faster that you want.
First and last name again?
Eva Oliver.
Thank you, Ed. Now like that is, everybody's getting there. Come on.
Come on,
I want to do my note to form yourself.
Yes.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know just what to say.
All right.
Flawless
First and last
twice a
name.
day.
First and last name.
Okay, my
Come
name?
over here, this.
Yeah.
All right,
Pose.
come closer. We got that projection. Projector.
Does it look good? Like a spotlight.
All right, when you're ready. Go.
Okay. My name is Stephanie Kramerman. I don't know which camera to look at.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
Everybody's
it.
been looking at this one.
Let's
talk to the class.
Okay. My name is Stephanie Kramerman, and my note to my younger self would be that after high school, there's no set, I guess, rule of what's supposed to happen, and that I feel like when we're in high school, we are all in the same path with all of our peers, taking the same classes, doing the same things, having the same schedule, that we feel like after high school, we're supposed to be doing what everybody else is doing. And sometimes once you graduate high school, that's when everything changes and it's time for you to focus on your own path and to realize that it may not be the same path that your best friend takes or your boyfriend takes, and that's okay. That's something that I struggled with when I graduated high school because I felt like all of my friends are leaving my hometown, they're going to a university. I have no idea what I want to do. And it took me a couple of years to realize, okay, this is what I like. I've tried this, I don't like it. I tried this, I do like it. And I feel like sometimes, I hate the word society, but society makes you think that there's this idea of the college experience that we are all supposed to have. And if we are not out there at a four-year university and we're not out there partying, then we're doing something wrong. And that's not the case. I feel like I haven't had the traditional college experience, and I feel like I've learned so much about myself, and I've become such a dedicated student, and I've learned so much about me as, I guess, I don't want to say an employee, but I guess as like an artist and a worker. And I've had time to really focus on myself and have tunnel vision towards what I want. And I feel like if I didn't have that time to kind of figure out who I was, I wouldn't have discovered me. So if you're in high school, I would recommend, well, my advice to you is that it's okay if you don't have it figured out. Take the time and do whatever is best for you, because things work out in the end. It's okay to not know, but in the end, things work out. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Stephanie Kramerman.
All right. All right, everybody, I'm gonna pick people. Nadine? Can you note to for yourself? You don't wanna do it? Okay.
Do it by myself.
You do it, dude. You're already in front of the camera.
Come on, you guys. Just, I mean, again, it's
I
not
don't
just.
know what to say.
Alice, come on,
That's the
Alice.
thing.
Come on, Alice.
Just say, yo, dude, how you doing? You can just
We
see.
just gotta get you. This is what I'm gonna help you walk you through it. You're gonna give me first and last name, and then we're gonna ask you just what are your thoughts about your future.
Like, what would you tell your younger self?
Well, we're gonna get to that, but I just want to get everybody framed for who they are and just kind of.
Okay, step more to your left. Left, okay, go
You're
back
gonna go
one
next.
step. All right.
Okay. All right, first and last name.
You are really tall.
Alexander Resendez. And one of my goals is to proceed into the animation business. And typically that what my dad said is that it may be just a hard thing to do, but with movies that really wants to do other things besides the family tradition.
What is the family tradition?
Well, to follow on my thing is like my dad was working for an upholstery and usually and sometimes my dad was asking me if I could do more job in the upholstery than animation. It's usually I always thought about it, but after I've seen some movies, I usually want to do other things to do besides my dad's work.
There you go.
So if I want to get into it, I have to draw more drawings of it. And either high or low, and do the best I can.
Great. So if you could tell your younger self something about how to get better at being where you are today, what would you tell your younger self? The younger Alex, what would you share with younger Alex?
I to ask my younger self what you want and not to follow what they do. Whatever the hell I'm saying.
I think we get it. Okay, so first and last name?
Alex Rotendi.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, wonderful.
Oh, you're doing good.
You doing good? Just fine.
Okay, first and last name?
Yeah, hold on, wait. Make sure you-
Yeah, I think it's right.
put you in the spotlight.
My eyes are really fine. But like,
Okay, you can step forward then. Step like forward out of the.
but now it's red.
Oh God. Oh, I think it's projector.
Projectors.
Yeah, so you can take one step to your. Yeah, that's right. Right. Perfect.
Okay, first and last name. First and last name.
Vanessa Rendico.
Vanessa, tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do moving forward to help your career and share some of the things you've learned with your friends. Just talk a little bit about what you've learned this far in the class and what things that you could actually share with friends or peers. Things you learned.
There's a lot of things I learned. Like how to present yourself and stuff like things like that. How to not be afraid to speak up. How to share your ideas, how to help people invent their ideas, create new ideas from those ideas. And like things from the VR things, like how that industry is like going ahead and how it's maybe going to be more advanced in later in the future, how we should grab onto those opportunities while it's so young to help expand it even more. So all the ideas we had in our young brains.
Great. So what things could you tell the younger Vanessa about how you would do things maybe a little differently to get to where you are? So some of the things you would share with younger
Don't procrastinate a lot. You're not finding getting better with that. Listen to your coworkers or your teachers that they always have interesting things they want to tell you, things that you may be interested in, things that you can learn from. So that's so grab any opportunity you can and you feel like it's going to help you or just things you want to learn because you never know when it's going to help you in the job you're in.
Great. First and last name again?
Vanessa Rendico.
Okay, great. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay. That's about it.
What about Lewis?
Oh, Lewis. Come on, Lewis.
He's trying to hide. That's why he's in
Yeah,
the back
come on,
row.
Lewis. That's why you're back there. And Lewis, wait a minute. I got to clear some space here because I got to get you on camera.
Okay.
Hold on just for a second. Hold on.
After Louis, can you talk about the social media thing? 'Cause I
Oh,
came up
yeah.
with a couple of names that I was supposed
Sure.
to like present and
Uh,
everyone.
so
yes.
Sure.
You mean for your project?
What?
For your
Move a
project?
little more
Oh,
close.
no, not for my project, for the
Is
social
that better
media.
with the
Because
line?
I want to create, I don't know if you were here that last time.
But
I was after the show.
I know,
Oh, right.
move over a little bit.
I mean, you just moved it.
I
Like, move it right here, so that we can bottom right here.
that'd be nice. Or you can just turn off the projector.
Do it turn off?
Yeah.
It's easy. Easy peasy.
I'm sorry, she like can't concentrate when they're.
Yeah, yeah. No worries, man. I got you. So
Okay, so Lewis, turn around for a second. So Lewis, want to get your first
Face the audience.
and last name. So just turn square to us.
Not that
Okay,
camera.
Yeah, so just, you're gonna talk to the class, not to the camera, okay?
Okay.
We want to get your first and last name and just get you to talk a little bit about anything that comes to your mind about where you want to be career-wise, job-wise, even starting your own business, but just where you want to be so we get some understanding of where you're going to be in the future. Well, we can have to spot check in the future. Okay, first and last name.
Okay, so, okay, my name is Luis Munoz, and for career-wise, I want to work in the animation industry to, design characters and maybe start my own cartoon show one day. But I'm planning to like place my dream shows into one of the video streaming services, like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. As for, but considering that it's like a long process from my, like for me, so for now I decided to work at like a minimum wage job so I could like earn enough money and maybe get motivated to draw and design characters and you give my character backstories and story ideas for episodes and arcs.
And can you share with us what you would tell the younger version of Lewis about how to get better at being Lewis that you are today? Things could you?
Well, for starters, I would tell my younger self to be more, to watch out for people who will take advantage of your kindness, and also tell them to ask your parents how to choose better friends, and also tell my younger self a better reason why reading is fun. Unlike my parents who never gave me a reason why should I read other than just because.
Great. And anything that you can share with us about what people could take away from this class? Anything that you can share with the high school student who's looking to figure out what you already know?
Well, for a high school student who not sure what their career wants to be, I would just simply just go based on your interest or what you love to do, or hobbies or your passion, stuff like that.
Great. So first and last name?
Louis Munoz.
Thank you, Louis. Okay, we're gonna have Nadine.
Yay!
Okay, so we got first and last name here. Hold on for just a second. We're gonna edit a lot of this stuff. So
Come down.
They could be part of the bloopers though.
Okay, so
Okay, wait a minute.
tell me when you're ready. Okay. That's it.
I know we got this. Mom, that thing's frozen up here.
It's over. Just realized that half the ending you were in just in the background. All trailing on the computer.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
He's having this moment
I'm working,
talking
I'm working.
about himself, and you're just over there recording.
That's good. That's good. I'm feeling it. I'll show you when I was clicking in a
You
minute.
guys should do
I'm
a
gonna give you the backstory on that, and then you've been edited.
The backstory.
Terrence, you guys should do a form pass up too.
Okay, so
My name is Nadine Cano. I just recently retired. I worked in biology and education. I have many hobbies. What I would tell my former self is to keep resisting all the people that are no-sayers and bullies and stuff. Try and get where you want to go.
Can you share a little bit about anything that you've learned or would like to share with the thought that we can get better at what we're doing?
There's always room for improvement, and it's a great team here of students. They all have something to give that will help everybody else, and you need to listen to that. And this class has been really great at introducing a cutting edge and maybe getting in on doing some of it.
First and last name?
Nadine Khan.
Before we end, Kevin Clark, can you please come and tell us what you
Come
you would
on,
tell your
Kevin.
former self?
Well, no, I gotta go get the job applications. So maybe.
No, you got 30 seconds to
No,
spare.
Oh, man, come on.
Come on, we all did it. You should do it too.
And Terrence, we gotta get Terrence, all right?
Oh, I'm pulling up my own. I have my video from the last time.
Terrence, you're doing
All
it
right,
too.
great, guys. All right, my name is Kevin Clark, and
Okay, go.
okay,
Now you're good to go.
okay, great, guys. My name is Kevin Clark, and if I could tell my younger self anything, it would be to not listen to dream killers. Those are people who are probably near and dear to your heart, who can't envision you doing anything other than what they can envision you doing. So you really have to be very strong around family. So I would tell my younger self to kind of block out the noise, continue to find some faith in the unknown and the unseen and follow anything that makes music to your ears. And I would also encourage people to try and get more spiritual, because when you can't figure it out, you're going to have to go some places. Some of the best practices of finding answers is getting spiritual and tapping into places that are going to help you find ways to overcome. There's going to be a lot of obstacles. There's going to be a lot of people who are not going to ever see you, envision you being where you're going to go. So again, just try to get as much as you can out of yourself and the younger self. I would want them to really, again, be more connected to, again, some guru, some inspirational person. Research somebody that is very close to what it is that you believe that you can represent. Because nothing is new under the sun. There's always been somebody that you can relate to. Do a little research on that. Don't perform yourself.
All right, sure. You know I'm not scared.
Are you gonna do it then?
I ain't never scared.
Are you gonna do it?
I guess I am now. I guess everybody's doing it now. It's a thing.
First and last name, and then just go over what you would tell your former self coming fresh out of high school.
All right. So my name is Terrence Coles, and what I would tell my former self coming out of high school was a lot like what you guys are saying. Was but very much I would tell my former self to continue in your passion, and when things get hard, that's only an indication that you're getting closer to your reality. And I would tell my former self not to worry about all the BS along the way and all of the people and things that may sound like an obstacle. That's really just there to make you stronger. I would tell my former self that I am way farther today than I ever dreamed I could be, because I dared to dream. Now, I was fortunate. I had parents that were educators. They told me that I could be anything. I was naive enough to believe that and not let anybody tell me anything. And it's probably, I would tell myself to remain innocent and naive and glued onto what I think of my vision, not what anybody else says about your vision. The worst times I've ever had were when I relied too heavily on external reinforcement or external, permission to do what I believe was true. So you guys need to remember that the only person who needs to validate you and what you believe you can be, you. Everybody else, don't know, right? And as Kevin was saying, some people can only see the vision of you that they can see of you. You're the only person who can see the vision of what you can be, right? That's the creative place. So remember, that's given to you and you alone. Everybody has one story. It's yours. You control that story. You can change the trajectory, no matter whether your parents stand in the way, friends stand in the way, somebody decides to get in your way. I will share one quick story as an anecdote, just so you guys understand. I really, really, really wanted to be in the music business as a kid. And I read this business of music, and I came to LA, and this is before I got to LA. My first job, I get hired to go be a road manager, I think for Ray Charles. And so I get a call, and I'm 21 years old, and then the road manager calls my parents, Joe Adams, and my parents ask, is this real? Guy says, this is real. Sends me a ticket, get on a plane, show up in Canada. Never been on a plane, much less out of the country. And so I'm supposed to be gone for 6 months, quit my job, sell my car, break up with my girlfriend, and say I'm out. I'm going to travel Europe with Ray Charles, and I'm going to take 6 months and go figure this out. I'm going to be a road manager, stage manager. I get on the plane, I land in Toronto, go through security, customs, all the stuff I've never known. They're asking me if I'm going to work in Canada with them. I don't know. I get out to meet the guys. They're all talking. Something's obviously up. Guy comes over and tells me, he says, "Oh, dude, there might be an issue." What do you mean it might be an issue? Oh, it might be an issue. I'll let you know. So sit around. Finally, Joe Adams, the guy who was supposed to meet, he told me everything's gonna be cool. Told my parents everything's gonna be cool. Walks up to me, says, "Hey, the guy who you were gonna replace, we decided we're gonna keep him on, but keep your documents, keep your stuff. Here's $100. We got a round trip ticket for you back home, and hang in there, and if we need something, we'll call you." Lord. And that was a lesson in terms of, at that point in that place, I was disposable. I was just a kid who was 21 years old, who was going to go on the road. And if they were using me as a threat to tell another guy that if you didn't shape up, your job was easily disposable. And I was just as disposable. And I had no idea, and I was crushed. But all that to say, I got home. I said, you know what? I'm applying to school in California. I'm going to figure this out. So my girlfriend at the time, we're hooking back up. We did it, and we both drove out to California. And that's what got me in California, was being strong enough. Because I said, if I could get on a plane and leave everything I know, take that risk, because that's something I really, really want to do. Even though that didn't work out, that opened the door to give me the strength to say, well, then I can do whatever I want to do. And I want to go to California, and I want to go out there and figure this dream out, right? And that guy's not going to stop me from my dream. Then fine. If he's not the right guy, somebody is the right person. So all that to say, that was the most negative, crushing thing I ever had. I could have been devastated. I could have stayed at home and said, I'm never going to trust anybody ever again, and I could still be back in Virginia, in a little town with no vision and no whatever. And instead, I'm here, and I've had the best successes ever in my life by making that change to come and do it myself. So personally speaking, it works. I just say I'm 53 years old, and I'm glad. I can tell my former self, I would tell myself, don't sweat it, dude. That kind of stuff's going to happen. You're going to be stronger than all of that. It's what you know about yourself is stronger than what anybody can tell you.
Give us your name one more time.
My name is Terrence Coles, and I am the instructor for this course. And I'm very happy to be here.
All right, awesome. Well, can I just get everybody brooding at the center of the stage like you guys were just like 2 seconds ago? We were just staring and intensely focused on what they're saying and all this wonderful stuff that's happening.
Can I pitch the links for you?
Oh, yeah, please.
Because I have them written down on my phone. I don't know if maybe you can type them on the board.
Yeah, sure.
Good report or not? I'm pretty sure. All right. So we'll just come here to make sure I'm in center square. Who knows how to operate a camera?
Go Pablo.
Okay.
Go Pablo.
Go,
You
Pablo.
guys have phones. You all should know how to operate a camera. God forbid. God forbid you don't know. Okay, so here's the start and stop button. Okay, very simple. All you want to do is make sure I'm in center frame. Make sure I'm like between these two and this whole lines here. And then I'm just in center frame and focus.
Center frame should be like right here.
Yeah.
You may want to go back a million, pop your head off.
All right, so you want to hit this button right here. This is what zooms out. This is, then you hit this button. Then it zooms in. So who's going to be doing these interviews? Who's asking the questions?
Terrence.
Sure.
All right. Now all of a sudden I got nervous first.
What's your name?
So yeah,
Hi everyone, my name is Shoni Monet Doe, and what questions do you have?
so what made you decide to get into this field? Like, how did you get here? When did you start? And why are you here interested in this?
Okay, well, in terms of why I chose this field was since I was 6, I can remember I sold candy on trains and through my neighborhood to raise money to pay for my college tuition.
At 6.
At 6, I started
So you
selling
knew
candy.
you were going to college at 6.
I knew I was going to college at 6. My parents told me about it, and I was like, I want to sell candy so that when I go to college, I don't have to be hungry. And so like that was my thought. And so I started selling candy and make money. But like that's a whole nother thing. But
since I was 6, I was dead set on wanting to be a storyteller and to tell stories in any way I can, any and every way. And it's still the same today. Video games, doing press coverage, documentaries, traditional novels, short stories, poetry, singing, you name it. I love telling stories in all facets possible. So what's brought me here today is because I'm telling a story. And you guys have a story to tell. And I want to be a part of that story and tell that story as well. And that's why I'm here.
So what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self coming out of, I never went to high school traditionally.
You're a 6-year-old.
I was a 6-year-old then, yeah, but like telling about my high school self, because when I was 6, I wasn't really aware of banks and where money went and how that. All I knew was that I was going to go to this big place called college, and that's where I'm going to be a storyteller. So I want to make sure I'm ready for that. And but in terms of high school, I never traditionally went to college, high school. So what I tell my younger self at that age, at that point in time, is focus more on less is more. At your stage, less is more. When you're focused on trying to tell too many stories and learn too many skills at once, you're going to slow yourself down. You're not going to move forward. So focus all the creative things that you love doing. Organize that for later on when you can do all those, and just focus on what needs to get done to get you to that place where you can do more. So focus on doing less, because less is more where you're at. The resources you have.
And your name again?
My name is Shoni Monido. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So I want to share a couple of things that I saw walking in and give a couple of quick shout outs.
My name is Alex Resendez, and
My goodness.
I usually want to be content animator to accomplish
I'm trying to make this bigger, but I can't.
I think you
lots
need
of
to put
achievements.
But you can make
I'm
that a
more
lot
into
bigger.
drawings just for fun.
Oh, there
My
we go.
name is Alex Resendez.
Oh.
I can't even see your eyes, Alex.
You have two.
I usually
Yeah. And then, yeah, perfect. Get my stuff.
Is it weird that we see him being filmed
And-
on the background?
Yeah,
I
right?
usually want to be content animator to accomplish lots of achievements.
So
I'm more into
Lord
drawings
so we see the
just for
photo?
fun and for some free time. I usually
So we can see it.
draw and play games on my Nintendo console and handheld.
You haven't done any animation skills part of your animation classes? Are you learning Maya or 3D Studio yet?
Well, I'm learning stuff from Maya.
You do. And any concepts you're working on? You got any characters you've developed yet? Anything?
When
The
was this?
next. What class you
Some of
missed?
them are classified.
This was, I think, the class you 3 weeks ago. But do like you 4
Oh,
weeks think you ago. can help if we needed to do animations and stuff for Stephanie's idea? Like if you try to make that Nintendo, tell her you do Nintendo 64. She's trying to base this idea on 64. You think you could maybe lend a hand on trying to see how we would animate some of that?
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe it's accepted. Cool.
And that's it.
All right. Thank you. So by the way, the reason that
Is this unlocked?
oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
The reason I shared that was because when I walked in and I saw you standing there, I was like, that's not the same Alex that we filmed 4 weeks ago. Like, I just want you to know you come a long way, dude. I mean, in your ability to stand up there and do that, you sounded a lot more like convincing. You were a lot more together today. And I just want you to remember that, right? Every day you get up there and try. I mean, dude, you still had to have your shades on. You're still like, I'm not gonna get in front of people yet. And the rest. Today you were up there though. You were doing it, right? And that's what I want you guys to take away, right? That's the thing is you just have to get up and swing. Like you will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Because you never took the shot, right? You can't hit the ball if you don't swing. And if you do, you will win some days. You will hit the ball some days. You will make the shot. You will. You know what? If you just stick the bat out in front of the ball, in some cases it's gonna hit something. And so man, I'm really stoked that I walked in and I saw you up there doing that thing because you're the last person I would have thought that would have standing there, and you sounded really, really good. And I wanted you to see for yourself how you've improved. So what I would tell all of you is to take stock of how far you've come. I think a lot of you may, think I'm going through the motions or whatever. It's not going anywhere. But I would say there's little things where you get a little more confident, and that's the difference. That little extra piece that you have to go there. So that was really the reason behind. That's why we take stock. And I'll go back when we do the last presentation. I'll go back to your first presentation. Right?
The first time he went on to this.
The first time he did it, because remember that we did that first challenge the second day we had class?
Yeah,
right?
he was the spokesperson just all the time.
You were the spokesperson, right? And you're still volunteering to be the spokesperson. That's cool, but you went from that one to this one. But that's progress, right? That's what I want you guys to understand and to see. For the few of you who are really taking the time to continue down the path, is see your progress, see yourself evolve, and go there. And now I'm going to turn the floor over to Stephanie. So you can pitch social media.
Yeah,
over here. Let me see you.
I have 4 names that we can use as like the username for the app. I did ask the time that I asked if like we could have an Instagram page, I did ask the people that were in the class like, oh, do you guys have any ideas? And I did write them down.
So what do you got?
So one is just Immersive Media. The second one is LAMC Immersive Media.
Mm-hmm.
Someone suggested LAMC Explorers. And then the final one was Immersive Media Exploration. So I personally like LAMC Immersive Media because I feel like it's important to read the school. That way it's not like something generic out there. And it's short enough that it puts the point across and it's easy to remember, in my opinion. But it's not like too short. Does that make sense? I don't know. That's my personal favorite.
LAMC Immersive Media, LAMC Explorers, LA Immersive Media, or just Immersive Media. And I tend to agree with you that just Immersive Media is too generic. So I think you should pick one of these 3.
And I don't know if you guys have any other suggestions. We can always put them down and then just vote on them. Yeah. And then once we have one, I'll just create an Instagram page and we can start vlogging. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, because all these other events now, you can start to have an Instagram page that we can push content to, right? So that's the other thing that we want to do, is create a little flow of content between now, like when you guys go shoot, you want to do that. If you go to one of the events, you want to do that, and we'll have that one place that we can go back to. So when you present, you say, hey, we kept this little, vlog there. So what do you like? All that want LA Immersive Media, raise your hand. LAMC Explorers. LAMC Immersive Media. 1, 2, 3. And the ayes have it. We are now LA Immersive Media on Instagram, and Stephanie will set it up.
So LAMCIM.
I was thinking for the first couple of posts, we should introduce each student.
Sure.
So no, yeah, but like each one of us could have our own posts. So I was thinking that like the first 2 posts should be parents, like one of parents, and then the second post would be like Kevin, and then it would be each student, like Pablo, and then we could put like a little description. Pablo, this is what I'm into. This is my, my major, and Ren
Pablo's a Gemini. He's 5'8", and he loves walks and hikes in the woods. Sorry. Sorry. And see if we can get. If we try to do hashtag.
Security guard here.
Oh, you're?
Yeah, I'm a cadet.
Oh,
I
nice,
saw him
dude.
the other day in this uniform.
See, dude, they love a man in a uniform.
I almost did not recognize him.
So we should try hashtag LAMCIM.
Yeah.
Right? But that's the name.
Hey, that's what I've been saying.
That's what you. No, all props to Vanessa. Hashtag LAMCIM. And so if we can try that between now and next week, get that set up and then start to push some information. My step is to get cameras, right? So by next week, I'll set that up. If we have the script and the rest, you got it?
We can also post the videos we took and stuff like that.
We should. Well, we absolutely should, right? So we'll do some of the videos that we take and all the stuff that we do as we go. Any backstory?
I kind of want to talk about the script.
Yeah, please.
For the script, I had
Come on, here. You're gonna present, be in print, so we all know it's important.
That is.
all right. So the scripts what I did was I did one for the hiking one, and I did also a separate one for the obstacle course.
Okay.
So I don't know if we still want to do two projects or start doing it.
If anything, we could just.
I think we should push them together and see how you can incorporate one of the obstacle course things into a challenge into the hike.
Because it could be like two options,
Because
one
what I
to be an
wanted to-
obstacle course and the other to be stress free, just a normal hike, and be the same routes.
I like it.
So two things in one.
What I wanted to do with basically the script, I wanted to just kind of get the basic of how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't really focus too much on details and much.
No.
Like focus more, but I wanted to focus on how is it going to work. So for example,
Basis in.
I was talking to Stephanie on how the obstacle course works. So I'm thinking you are stationary. The obstacles are coming to you.
Yeah, yeah.
To me, that doesn't feel natural. But what if we had the controllers pumping your arms,
Okay.
and then that's how you move.
That's how you move.
So you're moving, obstacle course, obstacle comes, you got to jump over something. You do this.
Okay.
And sometimes when people do that, they can't do their legs with it.
Yeah.
So can you post your script here?
Thanks. So can
Yeah,
I log in on
I'll
my
share-
Celtics, and then I could
Here,
download it as a PDF.
yeah, I'll share. And all you need to do is I'll share it with you here. Right here, right? That's you? Yeah. So I'm going to share it with you.
Huh?
We voted on a name for the Instagram page, and Stephanie's going to set it up. So the Instagram page is. So the Instagram page is now. So if you would post the scripts here, and then we'll.
How you doing?
Awesome. Yeah. So you have the link. You can post them here. And so if you add that here, we'll have everybody give notes. And so the homework assignment will be to review the script and then add in any components. My homework is to get stuff for the cameras. And then if we can figure out, probably between next Friday, which is the 19th, and the 25th, shoot dates between the 19th and 25th. So I'll have camera stuff locked down for us. Yeah, I'll have camera stuff locked down for us by then. Sound good? And then Stephanie, you'll do the page for Instagram and send that around to everybody or post it here. I'm going to add you to this as a share partner so you can edit.
Right. So if everybody can, because I want to be able to get this filled out before you leave. I need
Yeah.
before you leave.
Post them, man. Yeah, for sure.
Terrence, is it possible to bring up the Digital Hollywood thing? I just wanted to talk about something Victor's given us.
Yep, it's right here.
Oh, actually, if you can bring up Urban Tech Connect, there's
Right.
You bring that one up first.
So you can talk about that. Yep.
Okay, guys, as you guys are filling that out, I'm just going to show.
What's today's date for this, right?
Yes.
Okay. you hear from about this business? You hear them from you, right? I'll put down your name.
Yeah. So this is what we're gonna do. I've actually set them up here. And trying to go out in the field and shoot, basically more investigation for you. Together a document process. But we're gonna take them through a series. This is it right. 10 to 12, we have exclusive rights to interview and basically anybody that we can find, but we're trying to get them to set up and kind of wrangle interviews for it as well. But this is a platform for folks to talk about how to get funding and financing. Most of the people here are venture capitalists. But these are the people that we all have access between 10 and 12. Now, if we don't get them between 10 and 12, we'll try to figure out what we can do to not get in the way. But they have several outlets. You ever heard of Complex? Yeah. So Complex has got 12 to 2. And then they have another group that's got from 12 to 4. But they're giving us, this guy here is giving us the floor, and he's the founder. But his whole reason for doing this is to try and figure out how to get these VCs and these angels to talk about the process of getting closer to them. So these are the folks that we're going to try and find a way to ask them, what are the formulas, what are the things they're looking for people who have either, content or some formula for putting intellectual property into presentation so that they can, take the pitches. So this is 9 to 5. We have reception afterwards. So we're going to try and focus on people of influence, but it's really these guys here, these VCs and angel investors. When is this? This is next, what's that, 17th? What day is the 17th? Thursday? So next Thursday. So I've got the group from Santa Monica City College. Now, this is the one that I just told everybody about, that the founder and the guy who owns this thing is giving me a comp list. The tickets are $800, but he's giving me a group. He's giving me a comp list for my students so that I can actually show them how he produces this event. He produces the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, but this is something he does twice a year. And these influencers that he has set up for these awards, man, are just some of the more powerful people in the business. So they'll all be there. And the reason I'm showing you this is that if there's something we can do to carry and to promote or pitch what you're doing, if it's just going to your website so they can see what the next steps are. This is where we're going on May 22nd to the 24th. May 22nd? To the 24th at the Skirball Center. You know where that is? Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Influencers Awards, but the panel of workshops and seminars, they start that morning, the 22nd, and they go all the way to the 24th. And this is what we're doing on June 2nd and 3rd. So June 2nd and 3rd, taking a group of students to Warner Brothers Studios. And the president of AT&T, who came here on March 2nd, is going to allow us to interview him as he goes through the Warner Brothers Studios. Literally, we want to try and capture everything that we can of his point of view, the activity. I met him last year, but he was, so here's the event.
What happens when technology and entertainment converge? You can at AT&T Shape. With interactive exhibits, sessions with industry experts, networking with peers, and more, you can dive into new immersive experiences, connect with tomorrow's visionaries today, and spark your creativity. So what are you waiting for? Register now for AT&T Shape, June 2nd and 3rd at Warner Brothers Studios in Los Angeles.
Okay. Now, the reason I showed you this is because the keynote speakers are, let me see here. Some of the keynote speakers that may be of note. I don't want this. I just want good old-fashioned Google.com. Nope. Still not gonna do this.
You go to the website, it should be.
Yeah, I'll go there. Okay, all right. Well, Ava DuVernay is one of them. Let me see these other guys. There's several people who are distributors that are going to be there. Let me see. That's just some of the ones they're featuring, but there'll be distributors. Here. So literally what we're trying to do is to figure out, we haven't had a chance to do it yet. We haven't got to want to find out where these speakers are speaking. Because there'll be 10,000 people and you have to wait in line to be able to get into the session. What we want to do is we want to try to find a way. We'll have all access passes. Help inspire us in the young meeting. And my goal really, if you guys, if you're interested, come along, man, maybe something Monday, part of our group, talk to you about, the way ahead for not just you, but just for anybody to get this stuff. But this is the best place I know to try and find kingmakers who are going to be looking for us because they can't use all access to fans. Not going to get this from the students. Again, it's not even students, it's really more goodwill, philanthropy. So, second and third, June 1st is the event that we're doing here with Apple. Literally, that one is the one. Yeah, so we're going to have it in the theater, or we're going to have it over at the room over at the cafeteria. Both places we get too big. The theater only goes that place holds slightly more. So RSVP, we should have that time. They have a course over in San College. UI, UX. That way, guy that's actually going to do the presentation is a Ted Light. He doesn't want us to record. Everything he says literally, if you were to screen anything here, we can't even put. But the Los Angeles County High School is going to invite all the people. The guy that his whole thing is to produce this thing, featuring technology. Let's see if I can get out of time. It's easy programming. Yeah. So, if you guys can, just when you finish, put them right here behind me. Yeah, I'm gonna, I think you guys can leave now, because that's all I really needed to make sure you have that. And for you, we need to talk around the clock about helping with you take care of you. Okay? All right, thanks. Oh, well,
I can't get coverage of this.
it's definitely going This is
Usually it was just cool, but not really, it's just meeting people, how to separate the VR and 360 video. And today it was just the same thing, and we're all three videos. Do you want to do that? Do you schedule something, or do you want to do it right now? Okay. Is it going to be,
Clark, C-L-A-R-K.
Yeah. So then, do you want to do it right now? I don't know, because I'm not with the,
This is it.
Yeah, I want to film the people that are on the project. I don't want to film someone that showed up once.
oh, no, for, the people that are here, it's pretty much the people that have big companies.
I'm gonna miss mine because I haven't somewhere else.
It's the same with our club.
No, yeah, at the beginning, it's always like
Like 50 people. And they're like,
What
and then like a couple weeks go by and it's like 2 young.
yeah, for sure. But for us, yeah, right now, I'm not doing anything.
Alright, cool.
Yeah. So Apple is going to be moving into You don't need no haircuts. Yeah, let me interview you. Hey, can you talk for a second? Hey, I wanted to introduce you to one of the students. He's not even a student.
What
ARC.
the heck is talking?
He's got a really powerful, project that I want to screen on June 1st. But I wanted you to share a love to him first because I want to give you stress and give you some backstory on CPI. So I wanted to okay. Yeah, gotta sit right next to you. We're in the classical edition. I found a lot more about it. Just by searching around.
You got my information because I like you.
Yeah.
And I do.
It takes a lot of requirements.
Is this your guys' like usual workspace?
Yeah.
Probably. Spend
I
time on
sent you
clean back wall.
an email of
With some
like
computers
this
in the
video.
background.
Thank you. What was in here outside?
The thing on there. Anyway.
That's what I like the way you think, because I'm trying to think if I want to capture you guys here in your natural environment, your habitat when you work on this project, or if I want to film you as a student knowledge, because it's how do you want to frame it?
A little both. Why is this down here?
That big rock.
Hey.
Oh, is that where?
Yeah.
I think. I've been chapter. But anyway, but there's like these big things of all this history of like education. And to put some kind of information that will like, you know, connect, like challenge them with some information hooked onto it, they'll remember.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was asking. I just need some of you guys basically.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I gave you a whole bunch of history and stuff, so that you have a whole bunch of information.
Just doing that.
and stuff. Anyway.
How are you?
I don't know if they could say something and you could recognize it with the right answer. Sean, like Flintstones, they said if you had to do Java or something.
So,
And that.
all right, so I'm gonna be doing these interviews right
You know.
out here in the lounge lobby area. And it's just like, I have 3 short questions to ask you guys. It's for the documentary I'm putting together for all the students working on producing content. So just, guys, I come out there and I can tell you these 2 questions, we can just quickly go through.
All right, make it so. So you guys know what's up for next week. So scripts will be posted. We have a social media site that will be built. And then our goal is, so Stephanie is doing our Instagram page. And so we're going to start all blogging to the Instagram page. One of the requests came, Kevin, was for you and I to do the first 2 posts. Once she sets up the page, I told her we would. And then every student then will also take a shot for introducing themselves on the blog. And so that was Stephanie's. Yeah, man, we're going to document this thing 6 ways from Sunday. And then the goal is to have the video shoots for the 3 locations that we have between next Friday and the 25th. Then hopefully coming in on the 25th, we'll have content. Then we need to figure out how to edit and get a prototype that we can pitch for the first.
Is there any way that you can talk to Johnny and see if he can the green screen?
Yeah, yeah. So we want to reserve it for the 25th, right?
Yeah. So that way we can actually.
Yeah, no, we'll make the 25th about, MJ and the rest of the class will be going down to the green screen and recording up pictures. All right. Good? Sure. I'm working. I gotta get my mix in, It says job skills and qualifications. So you always have the fact that you are a diligent worker, or you're on time, or punctual, capable, that kind of stuff, right? So, but from a skills perspective, you should say that you have experience with Photoshop, right? So just you don't have to have the badge yet. You say experience in Photoshop, Premiere. No. What's the animation software? So Photoshop. Is it Maya? No.
There's Maya, yeah.
So you say experience in Photoshop, Maya, and yeah. So what I would use here is your skills are. So just say skills in Adobe Animate. Adobe Animate, Photoshop, and Maya.
Here's the thing.
So how good are you at Microsoft Office?
Microsoft Office? I know how to use Word and something PowerPoint. I use those a bunch of times in my school.
So then say also Microsoft Office. And Microsoft Office.
Okay, why don't you take this, like, I need to go on, but like, it's like I was having.
Right? That's accurate, right? Anything else? Have you ever done any customer service? Have you ever done any basic office or managerial skills?
Well, there's a bunch of times when people come to me to ask questions like I stuff in stores and stuff, and I always help them.
So you say great organizational and basic management skills.
Mm-hmm. So, right.
Organizational.
I don't know how to spell that.
ORGAN. IZ. AT.
Well, but I'm saying.
IONAL.
Somebody.
IONAL. Organizational. Great organizational and management.
Just keep in touch with me, tell me what's happening.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Give me a heads up
Is
as soon as you.
it a phone number that I can text or call?
No. Yeah, that's good. I think that's good.
Yeah.
You feel good? Absolutely, man. Done. Terrence, Coles, use my LinkedIn. You got my stuff? Yes, you can. I will be references for you guys totally. And you guys better be LinkedIn to me. That's a requirement.
Do I have to send you an invitation or something?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You have to look me up, send me an invitation. I'll accept it. I promise.
Okay. I'll do it right now.
Super duper professor, I also want to interview you. I want to interview you. Wow, here I have my list of questions I want to ask you guys.
Okay, cool. I'll grab my stuff and I'll come back.
Down to 5 questions.
Mind if I get the first 5? Yeah. Cool. I gotta get the road. I'm gonna 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of traffic.
What?
Yeah, man. I drive all the way out here from Marietta, Temecula.
Holy cow.
Hey, man.
Why don't you just hop on a balloon?
I should do something, man.
Yeah.
Lord knows I need
Build
to.
a catapult.
Man, I need something.
A slingshot.
The slingshot. I need that.